Hello and welcome to Drop Dice. I am Chris, your host. We're going to jump right into it, but I did want to say if this is the first time you've seen this, because I've seen an influx of new subscribers, keep in mind this is the season finale of this particular game. It's a 6-part adventure called War on the Plains. There's a playlist available. Please start from the beginning and follow it down. While this will probably be a fantastic episode and great to watch straight through, you're probably going to miss some details, so I would recommend going back at least a little bit to be able to watch that stuff. So the siege of Bladed Wind Castle was over before lunch arrived. The air is filled with smoke, and you can hear the distant thunder and thunder over the horizon as the heads of lightning crack into the distance. You can feel the slight touch of water on your clothing staining your silks. The battlefield is now becoming a muddy mess as rain starts to pour, mixing with the gore of battle. This site will need to be cleansed, or else it could turn into a festering pool for Maho. Knowing that there's tainted individuals here, not knowing what has been made of this scene, this could get bad for the rest of Rokugan very quickly. So most of the army is actually collecting up bodies and burning them so that their bodies can't be used for other means. But in the meantime, Akoma-san, as we'll call him, has gathered his Lion's Shadow group. And he's found his way to a cliffside that rests, well, not really cliffside because these are plains. It's more of like a hill that faces the castle itself. They're crouched down inside the tall grass, and there's one of them that has a spyglass that's peeking out just between the brushes. And our scene kind of shows the twinkle of the lens as we come in, and we can see them kind of all nestled down. The Akoma Lion Shadow, all of the members are crouched down on all fours as if they're animals stalking. And they're breaking out a lion skin that they've laid out, and one of them has a paintbrush and a bamboo shoot that's been opened up. It has water inside of it, and what he's doing is he's actually drawing the schematics for the castle on the inside of the lion hide with the water. It's a clever technique so that it will discolor the hide and show the layout, but within 5 minutes it's going to disappear, and so there'll be no evidence of it. But it's enough so that they can have it as a visual as they begin discussing things. This is going to be a skill challenge. How this is going to work is because of the way the dice pool system works here, all of your advantages will count towards this. So anytime you make a challenge rating 2, and let's say you get 5 advantages, you're going to get the 1 for succeeding plus the 3 bonuses. So, or the 2 bonuses on top, or yeah, 3 bonuses on top. So you'll have 4 going towards the total number of successes you want. So it's that momentum rule that we used before, but every bonus will count for this. Every time you do a bonus, what I'd like you to do is consider something that you'd like to add as a feature to the final combat, some sort of preparation that you've done, a trap that you've laid, something like that. Those are what your bonuses can be used for. Opportunities can be used to fortify those bonuses, as well as their normal uses, as if you want to use those. And because I want to keep it interesting, the last time I did a stealth operation thing as a player, we used air the entire time just to get that opportunity used for subtle. That will only be necessary if you're trying to avoid some sort of like arcane defense, something that is more than mundane. If you're sneaking around and say you're taking the fire approach because you want to run across a roof quickly and quietly, I'm not going to ding you for using the fire approach for saying that it's louder than it would be if you use the air approach. That way we can still be flexible with what types of approaches you want to use. All right, perfect. So just as a heads up, I don't have my screen today because I packed that in a box already. Let me set up my little paper screen that I've got going here, and then let's go ahead and get started. Akoma Joji has painted out the layout of Bladed Wind Castle in front of you, and it seems that there are a couple of points of entry that he sees as opportunities. Joji has let you know that the main entrance is pretty much impassable. There's too many guards watching it. The one thing that seems to be the biggest problem is the way the castle is laid out. It's a very large courtyard inside there, and there's a single solitary tower that is the keep. It's very unusual for like a Rokugani style castle. Usually there's lots of buildings, but what they've done is they've removed all the peasant buildings by razing them to the ground and opened it up into a giant courtyard. Basically so that the walls can be fire upon outside the walls and inside the walls if it becomes necessary. Joji's men have brought back information that it seems that Kaiketsu has fortified the walls with skeletal soldiers. So they will be more difficult if you have to face them, but he believes that they'll be easier to get past because they're kind of like drones. Once you're inside the courtyard, the reason that they've raised the peasants' buildings is because there are several Dark Moto that are under Kaiketsu's instructions. Dark Moto, to give you an idea of what I'm talking about, is they are corrupted men from the Moto clan. They have chosen to embrace the taint, and they've gone into the Shadowlands. Their bodies are warped. They have become physical embodiments of the corruption, but they are still Moto conquerors. They're warriors all the way through. They patrol the fairgrounds, which is basically that big courtyard there. Kaiketsu himself is inside the tower. He's not sure where. He's seen from historical documents, thanks to the Akoma archives, that there are 2 subfloors to this tower, but he believes from his best guess that he's actually probably on the 3rd floor of the tower, which is the highest floor, or possibly on the roof. From his vantage point, he hasn't been able to really detect exactly where he is, but because he was commanding the army, he probably is towards the top where he could have seen the army's movements. So hopefully that's enough to get you started. If you have any questions that you want to ask me before you make your rolls, feel free. But this is going to be kind of a good opportunity for you to add to the narrative. Basically, I'm going to let you kind of take the reins. I'm going to play off some of your stuff. And if you gain strife, I'll tell you what happens in the scene, that sort of thing.
All right. I think the first kind of point of attack is like getting actually in, like from the walls from outside. I guess the first point of questions would be like, how much space is there between the walls and like the nearest sort of something that could obscure people? Basically, like how close could we get before they know for certain that we're going to be coming for them? And like which sections of the walls might be the easiest to approach before being noticed.
Yeah, Joji's got 3 points of entry marked on the map. The one he's suggesting is the one to the south, which your hill that you're currently on is facing, mainly because it is the closest point of entry, but he has timed out the rotation of the guards, and this will be the fastest or not egress. Egress is out. This will be the fastest way in. Whereas if you were to round around to one of the other sides, it would take a little bit longer, or you'd risk going in between the rotation and possibly being detected. Because I forgot to do it, since this is a scale challenge, I do want to let you know what's at stake here. Okay. It's not going to be like instant death. It's going to mean the fight at the end is more complicated. The more stuff you do during this stuff helps alleviate the fight at the end.
I don't know if there would be any sort of materials that would be able to facilitate something like this, so I'm just kind of like spitballing ideas.
Okay.
But so the first thing that comes to mind would be that if there's only one singular tower, that means that there's nowhere really to flee if something were to happen. So I don't know how powerful artillery is in this setting, but like being able to use that to basically as a kind of a pinpoint thing of like, if you're not going to leave your singular tower, then we can like break it down with you inside it and you'll have nothing to escape to, would be the first thought. I know we captured some of their artillery from routing them on the battlefield, but I don't know if we're talking castle destroying level artillery or
Yeah,
anything of that
you were
power.
able to capture a trebuchet or a catapult, I should say. It could take down the tower. It will take some time. The fastest way to take down a tower is actually Gaijin powder, but unfortunately, you don't have any of that.
Yeah, that was going to be the
Unless your
next
character
question.
happened
If
to
there
take
was any,
some, and then you probably don't have enough to blow up a building, at least.
yeah, I was going to say I do not have any specific materials on my character sheet. And yeah, I didn't know if that was common enough to be able to use. That would be the first thought, is if we can, because if we have to like go into the tower from the courtyard, then that's going to be tons of time where we're getting hit by archers and stuff from within the tower and from outside the walls. But if we can pressure them to have to leave rather than us to go in, I think that makes it significantly safer. But I don't know how the time frame would allow for something like that. I don't know if we would expect reinforcements to come after a certain time period and we don't have time to waste for
Yeah,
that sort of thing.
your
Or
current standing orders essentially is to clear an entryway so that Akodo Dono and his elite forces can move into the castle. That's your main focus. However, while you're in there, being a scorpion subterfuge is also super handy in the future.
I don't suppose we'd have any way of like knowing or being able to find out without like being inside, like who would sort of be giving the orders. I guess if they're like skeleton people, then like speaking to them might not even like function at all. Like I don't know if they would have a person giving orders rather than like
Yeah,
a mage spirit
you know enough about
spell
how the
guiding them
world
in.
works. These skeletons would have had to have been summoned essentially. So there is some dark Maho sorcerers probably on the wall that kind of are working like guard captains. They're moving the skeletons around where they need to be, but pretty much their whole focus is making sure that skeletons don't fall apart.
Okay, and so the skeletons wouldn't respond to like vocal; they'd be like more puppeteered by magical force.
Yeah,
Than
it's
like
kind of like traditional D&D with necromancers and their summons.
was contemplating the potential of like a disguise and imitation sort of thing, but that wouldn't work with those creatures because I would have no spiritual power to govern them with.
Yes, that much you would be able to know. So
So
I
then
saw
if
what
we
you posted
can,
there. I do have an idea
yeah.
for you.
Mhm.
So the first obstacle here is basically getting past the walls,
Yeah.
unless you want to stay on the outside and kind of harrier the defense. Um, as far as
Mhm.
getting inside, that's going to be a pretty easy kind of straightforward, I should say. Moving through like skullduggery to get through.
Yeah.
Um, excuse me. Once you're inside, you'll kind of know a little bit more about the setup. Or you could go to get on top of the wall and move towards some of those Maho casters that are in charge of the skeletons and take them out.
Yeah. I think getting the lay of the land is priority one. But I think at least for starting point, that would be the goal, would be to try to get into the walls at least. Uh, sneak into the gate, or at least up to the gate, so we can get a better sense of what's happening.
Okay. The closest entry point that has been pointed out to you, it's actually like a fracture in the wall from the assault. If you squeeze through it, you'll actually be in the inner workings of the wall. You know that most castles inside Rokugan, the insides of the walls are built like mazes to trap people inside there. However, if you get in there and you kind of navigate your way around, you can actually use some of the defenses inside the wall, like the traps and things like that, to your advantage. You're not really sure what could be behind here, but you know that personally from Scorpion Castles, there are stashes of Gaijin powder inside the walls to take care of like blowing up tunnels and things like that and trapping people in there. So actually going through that way might prove beneficial for you.
Yeah, I think that would definitely be step one then. We just try to get to this fracture point in the wall. Try to sneak past the skeleton archers who might see me. And then once I'm in, to try to navigate around and see what utility there is or isn't available to me.
Okay. So it's going to be a skullduggery check. That much is clear, but what kind of stance do you want to take?
Yeah, I think air does make the most sense going into it.
Okay, so you're going to take the kind of low and stealthy approach to it, moving through the through the high grasses to use for your advantage. Okay.
Yeah, now that I'm kind of operating as part of this like Lion Scout organization, I'm like less concerned about like giving away my shinobi training because it would kind of fit in, I think, with these people. They wouldn't question it as much as perhaps, if I did it in front of uh, Tyler's character or something like that. I think, yeah, just using those small dip points where the grass covers just right or the hill dips down to cover you for just enough time to sneak past or get a good vision.
So one of the things that I do want to point out is during your training, the way the Scorpion train their shinobi, you don't know who else is a shinobi. It's part of the secrets. So you being an Akoma with the Akoma Lion's shadow, they may just assume that you were possibly trained the same way that you were, and they may not question it at all.
Yeah, so I think that would be step one then, is to sleuth around through the grass and the hills, use them as cover, time it out for when the guards rotate, which I'm, of course, very comfortable doing. I'm sure I've done it plenty before. And try to get into that entry point.
Perfect. Go ahead and give me that air skullduggery check, please.
Yes, sir. I'm quite good at that. Okay, that's an interesting one. I have 2 successes, 1 strife, and 4 opportunity.
Okay. It is my bad. I forgot to tell you what your difficulty will be, so I'm gonna take it like I didn't tell you. So you will gain a void point, and you are successful. Oops, successful. But no bonuses because you needed 2 to do it. And you said how much strife?
1 strife.
1 strife. I think what's going to end up happening as the strife is you and your men are able to get through, but there is kind of the tail end of your unit is a younger shinobi. He hasn't been out in the field as much as the other ones. He's one of the green ones. He makes a false move, and you can see an arrow shoot down from the wall, and it strikes him. You've lost one of your men already.
Yeah, I think
You can
especially
hear
knowing
kind
that
of
we're
like
like
scuttling. They seem to be reinforcing the wall above you. You know that the timer's kind of on, so there's that mental frustration that kicks in.
I think especially knowing that these things are like unnatural creatures, so like their sight lines and perceptions might be like slightly different than what I'm used to operating under, which kind of like maybe threw off part of the timing, and that's why it got one of the people killed.
You see
But as
Joji
far
look
as
back for just
4
a moment.
opportunity, yeah.
You see Joji look back for just a moment, and he kind of makes a mental note, and then he moves on. He doesn't seem to be attached by any means to this person. It's very much business as usual.
Yeah, you can't be in times like this, in situations. That'll get everyone killed.
Now that you're inside the wall, Joji kind of scatters the troops down some of the different corridors that he's able to find. There's a ladder that goes up, and there's a pathway that leads to the left and the right. Once you get up to the ladder, there's another series of hallways. You can hear machinery inside the walls being triggered by these men, and there's a moment where you're kind of by yourself inside this entryway up behind the crack, where you don't know the skill of these men. As a shinobi, you're taught to trust that the other shinobi underneath you, or the other shinobi working with you, are competent enough to not get themselves killed, but don't put full faith in it. So you have this moment of maybe they're all dead. And Joji comes scuttling down, and a few minutes later, you are able to pull, all the men are able to be pulled back. Joji has laid out a couple different ideas now that he's gotten a better idea of what the place is. Basically, the way this unit is working, and you're kind of seeing that their shinobi operate a little bit differently than you and the Scorpion do. They are operating as a unit. They break into small squads, but the small squads report to Joji, who acts as a lieutenant, and then he reports to you all of his findings and lets you make the decisions as the squad leader.
Okay.
It's very military and kind of different than the way the Scorpion operate. Joji comes up to you and he says, there are a couple of paths that I see ahead of us. There's a path that would take us around the exterior wall. We could come up to the rear entrance where they would try to escape from and try and make our way in from there. It's closest to the tower and would possibly be the way to get us the least amount of detection. We would still have to get past some of the moto in the courtyard. If our timing is right, we should be able to get by without them riding through. The second path that I have seen leads to the front gate. We were able to secure a pathway to the mechanisms that control the doors. We can sabotage those, either locking them open or closed, whichever is your preference. The third path that I see leads up to the archers and a barracks. Right now, we have discovered that there are some that are off duty right now. They seem to be Shugenja. And he kind of like, he says Shugenja, but like he doesn't mean Shugenja. He doesn't want to say what they really are. I believe that they are resting for their guard rotation. It may be a good point to strike out against the wall. However, according to our research, if you are to kill the Shugenja that controls the undead become without masters, let's say. They, like Ronin, will strike out against whatever they feel like going against. If we take out a few casters there, it would mean at least whatever skeletons they're in charge of would attack the others, specifically the casters. We could sow dissent by attacking the barracks. The fourth option, there is a stash of Gaijin powder that we were able to secure. We will need to find a new igniting source, but we could use it for any number of things. It's roughly a small keg's worth, enough to breach a wall but not take down a tower.
All right. And real quick,
Did you have any opportunities on your roll, by the way?
I was just about to bring that up. Yeah, I had 4. So I was just going to say, I don't know.
So I took a little liberty on this first one to kind of get the ball rolling to give you a couple of options. Now you can use your opportunities to say, hey, that small keg, can we make it a bigger keg? And I'll go, okay, that sounds great. Give me 2 opportunities for that, and we'll cash them in.
So I think the 2 points of attack that are the most interesting to me right now.
Also, your squad is big enough that you can divide and conquer 3 of those paths if you wanted to.
So what I think I'd like to do, I think the back gate, the one you said that they might be able to escape from, if there's a way to like cause damage in such a way that that becomes no longer an escape option. I think that would be something that I'd definitely be interested in. If there's a mechanism that opens a gate, or if there's a wall that we could like bring down to block the
Yeah.
path or something,
So
so that they're kind of blocked into the courtyard. Like the only way out would be through the front where our army is waiting.
yeah, definitely. The back gate is it's actually like a chain lifting gate instead of like a giant chain like opening gate like that. Which
Mm.
is a little unusual, but it's not super unusual for like a back entrance. It's large enough that a horse and cart could go through, but it's not a huge gate. Uh, the men that came back from that direction, they found a way outside of the wall that would drop into the courtyard close to that gateway, but they haven't investigated the gate itself. From their best estimate, they think that they could go into the chain room and actually destroy the
I was gonna
chain
say
that operates the
break
door.
the chain so there's nothing to lift it. Yeah.
Exactly. It would be risky if you would like them to basically pursue that option. That's one opportunity. If you want them to kind of like maybe have an edge, I'll take two opportunity for that. It's going to be
Yeah.
time consuming. If you want to spend another opportunity to make it like less time, we could do that as well.
Yeah, I think I'll use two of the opportunities, I think, to give them a little bit of an edge.
Okay.
Because I think the worst case scenario would be for them to be able to get away somehow. The leader makes it out of the tower and out of the back gate while we're trying to siege it, and he's gone, and it's just his men that are left.
Okay,
Uh,
cool. What
and
I'd
then
like
I
you to
think
do
second priority. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
what I'd like you to do is that is definitely going to be because it's sabotaging something. Um,
Mm-hmm.
it's definitely going to be skullduggery for that one. What approach do you want that squad to use? They're going to use your numbers, so you're still going to make the roll. But I'm basically having the tally count here. And by the way,
Yeah.
like I said, it's you're going to need 15 successes, but you have like 20 it's 15 out of 20 is kind of the idea.
Yeah. I think fire is probably going to make the most sense for this one because it's kind of a matter of getting in there and causing damage,
Yeah,
which will
and fire
probably take
means
a little
working
bit more
quick too.
force.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I dig that. Keep in mind what you can use your opportunities for besides the things that I've said.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead and give me that roll and let me know what the results are. Your TN is going to be a, let's see, you chose the less risky route as part of your investment. So your TN is actually going to be a 1 on this one.
Oh, perfect. Oh, Jesus. Good thing, too. I rolled like two just completely blank die. So that's actually one success and two opportunities, but no strife, nothing.
Okay, cool.
I think it is because of that extra risk, taking time to mitigate it will like prevent some of the conflict. Will like be sure to be extra safe, but as a result, progress is slower because of the caution that we're taking.
So do you have any strife on that roll?
0.
Okay, too
Yep.
bad. I was gonna say, keep in mind you're in fire stance and you can turn those into successes.
Yeah.
So you have 2 op. There's a few things you can do off of the fire list, or you can bank them for later if you have any ideas. If you bank them for later, I would like them to be spent on like the chain room scene. That way, it's all like
Mm.
narratively makes sense.
Yeah. Let me get the. Oh, I don't have my core rules pulled up. See what is in there that I could use it for. Wait, 1 second. You know what page offhand that list is on?
For the opportunities,
Yeah.
let me find it real quick. I've got the little opportunity.
329.
329. Okay.
Man, book's taking a second to load.
So one of the things you
Sorry.
can do is with an opportunity, you can inflict 2 strife on someone. Inside the chain room, there is going to be, without you spending opportunity to change the situation, there is going to be a man inside there, a unicorn man that's basically been put in guard in case the room needs to be used. He's like a foot soldier. He's not like a Dark Moto or anything crazy. Because he's a foot soldier, he's a regular human, and you may want to use your opportunity to maybe change that situation a little bit.
Okay, yeah, I'll save them for what those guys do in there next.
Okay, cool. We'll come back to them in a second, and then we'll kind of set the scene,
Yep.
and we'll decide how those opportunities get used.
I think the next part then is going to be this barracks area. Can you? I don't know how much detail that they would have been able to see, but can you kind of give me like how it's structured in comparison to like where it's around in the fortress?
Yeah. So
Like how that building would be structured?
yeah, the way these barracks are actually built is they're built into the wall. Imagine if the wall was right in front of me, right? Here's the top of the wall. The barracks are actually underneath it, so there's a staircase that leads down. The path that they've discovered, now that my barracks is kind of like in the wall here, it actually comes up through a vent at the bottom. It's not the best way, but they're basically going to go up one of the vents that's used for like disposing of trash and things like that. But when they come through the vent, they'll actually end up underneath a set of bunks, and there are 2 Maho casters that are resting inside there at the moment.
I think what might be the easiest way, it would be very overt. So I'd want this to be towards like the end of the engagement of all the plans. Would be to use the keg of the powder and basically blow that part of the wall with them in it. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So definitely you can do that. This one is because using gunpowder, if I remember right, that is actually, where is it? It's actually labor to use that one.
I do not have that. I think
I would also accept tactics. That's also something that I think is viable here.
yeah, I do not have that either. I think I still am gonna do it. I'm gonna use a void point.
Okay.
Give myself a little bit of a boost.
The
I
TN
think
for
in this
this
situation,
is 3. It's a little hard to do this, given the situation of like climbing up there, bringing the barrel up. They're going to make a fuse out of basically their silks. So they're basically trying to kind of MacGyver this thing into working again. And what stance are you taking on this one?
I think with how kind of subtle we'll have to be to kind of get it in under their nose, that air is probably going to be the thing that makes the most sense.
I think that's a great choice.
Oh, jeez. Okay, that was really good. So, thanks to a couple of very timely exploding dice, that's going to be, oh, Jesus. 4 successes, 2 opportunity, but I think also fitting for the scenario, 5 strife.
Okay, yeah. I think this is how this is going to happen is the men that you send, they place the explosive, and the situation's kind of just gotten out of hand. One of the Maho casters has woken. They're now stuck in the room, have to deal with the casters, but they're also ensuring that the bomb goes off. Out of the 3-man squad that got sent up there, 2 of them will come back. The third one, they're pretty sure he exploded with the Maho casters. You can hear the sounds of chaos happening on the walls. We were going to make this be the last thing, but I wanted to narrate it now because of that 5 strife. The 2 men that have come back, one is blinded. He received a flash burn across his face, and he's completely blind. He's useless to you at this point. He's going to either have to hide in the wall and be retrieved later, or you can try and send him running across the field as a blind person. As a freshly blinded person, he's going to have a very hard time with that. The only reason he made it back to report to you is because his friend drug him along, which was hard to do because he's lost an arm, and his legs, and one of his legs is actually just completely scabbed over with burn wounds. You can tell that basically he has lost an arm and he has maimed a leg.
Jeez, yeah. Ouch.
Actually, we'll get to Joji's response later. What was your third prong that you wanted to do?
I think the third prong is going to be, I think, locking the front gate open. You said there might be a way to ensure that it can't, that we can open it and prevent it from being closed again.
Yeah.
Just so that we can guarantee that that we won't have to default to like a siege scenario where we have to find a way to breach the walls and get people in and over through the archers, that there's an obvious, easy pathway for the rest of the army to join our shinobi squad in the fight proper. Knowing especially now that the back way out is not going to be a problem, assuming the rest of that scene goes well, which for my plans, I'm going to have to assume that it will. But basically, we can kind of build this square funnel that all their army is trapped in, and we have an easy way to get in and start going for it.
Yeah, the cool thing about this plan is you're basically making a box canyon for yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so to dismantle the the mechanism here, it's going to be another labor. That's the one that makes the most sense. If they're looking to like just completely destroy the mechanism, like if they want to open the gates and lock the gates properly, that's labor. If you want them to just destroy it and make it to where that gate is fucked forever until like they send an engineer in to fix it, I'll take skullduggery for that. The trade-off is if you destroy it, it will be noisy.
Yes.
Which if you take the air stance and do your opportunity for subtle, that can alleviate the noisy thing.
So how would you feel about me using the opportunity from the explosion that just happened to say that that's going to cause a bit of a distraction?
Oh, time it together? Yeah, I like that. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so we wanted the explosion to be later, but we hear it go off, and we know that now's the time. Like, they're going to go over and see what the hell just blew their wall up, and that, maybe we can sneak into this gate.
Yeah, I like that. It doesn't necessarily stop the noise. It just kind of masks it in the chaos.
Mm-hmm. All right, and TN?
Your TN is going to be a 2 for this one.
I'm going to be a little conservative here. My strife is starting to get a little on the high side. So I'm going to keep just a couple dice here. So it'll be 2 successes, 1 strife, 1 opportunity.
Okay. So with that, you're able to basically break the mechanism. The doors have been opened, and you can hear it like through resonating through the walls in the chambers. You hear what sounds like they're just hacking at it with their swords. They're just completely obliterating the wooden mechanism that like ties the chain is attached to, because it's easier than trying to break the chain. The chaos goes on inside the barracks, and let's go back to the actually, hold on. This is a scene change, so if you can reduce your strife, please do so.
Yeah, yes, please. It goes down
Because
to half a
essentially you're
total,
still
right?
moving through the wall,
Mhm.
and we'll get to where you and your core group are going, and then we're going to do the chain room first, though, and you guys are moving on that in between.
Perfect.
Okay, so in the chain room there is a Moto. He's an Ashigaru, actually. He's a foot soldier. He's not tainted. He's actually a peasant foot soldier. He was drafted, really. Your shinobi are able to tell that right away. Lion typically don't just kill indiscriminately to hide their presence. You have a couple opportunities. If I remember right, there's 2 in the scene. One of the things that you could do is change his demeanor. I think that's appropriate. His demeanor right now is, let's see. I'm going to say he is cautious. If you wanted to spend an opportunity, you could move him to be like empathetic. That way you could try to negotiate with him and get him to basically leave the castle and then let you guys lock it behind him, because he is an innocent person. That's something that the lion would consider.
Yeah, and I think that's basically exactly what I was thinking about going with it. Basically, just like you're one peasant, with like I'm guessing just like a wooden spear or whatever to defend yourself. I don't know what weaponry he would have, but I'm guessing it's very minimal.
He has like his great grandfather's Ashigaru armor that was gifted to the family for like some term of service, like 100 years back, and the spear that has been handed down for 50 years. Like, his equipment
Yeah.
not war ready at all.
I imagine it's like as far as changing his demeanor would just be as simple as like you're one guy with like rotting wood equipment, and we have 3 shinobi who could kill you in a second, and you don't even want to be here. You were just drafted. So why
Mhm.
don't you just go ahead and leave? We'll cover your exit, and then we'll take care of this all.
Okay, so there's a couple ways we can do this. You can simply state that, and he will definitely take the opportunity and he'll leave. Or if you want to put a little risk on it, we can make a roll, which may drive the scene forward, give you more opportunities, but you also run the risk of getting some failures.
Um, I think I'm good to make a roll because
Okay.
I have a lot of good speaking skills that I can touch into really easily.
Okay, excellent. I think pretty much any of the social stuff, or not social. Well, yeah, command courtesy would work fine. Um, he's not really an audience, so performance won't work, unfortunately.
Hmm. That's fine. I think courtesy is going to
Culture
be
would,
the easiest one.
I was gonna say culture would
Sorry, what
also
was that
work
last
well
one?
if you want to use that, or sentiment.
I think I'm gonna go with Earth stance courtesy because it says the one for Earth is reason. So I think it's just literally just explaining to him the logics of the situation of just if you stand here and do anything, we'll kill you, and that won't be good for any of us. Or you can just leave and be done with it, be free of all this, and we'll just do our thing.
Yeah, they pretty much give
No
them
reason to make it
give him a
complicated.
"there's no honor in your death" kind of conversation.
Yeah, there's nothing to be gained. Yeah, you can still live a life, especially someone that's drafted where there's less at stake.
Um,
For him.
I think because of your opportunity use, he's going to be a TN2. he was going to be a TN3 to convince, because he is technically at war with you. So
Yeah. Alrighty, I'm going to make a little bonus here. So it's going to be 3 successes,
okay,
1 opportunity, and then another 3 strife.
okay. So with 3 successes, that's going to grant you 2 on here. All right. And what was your stance, by the way? You said Earth.
Earth for that one, yeah.
Okay. Mm-mm-mm.
Yeah, a grounded, reasonable, pure logic approach.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the opportunities to see if there's anything that really stands out.
Hmm.
Ooh, there is something you can do since you took a scholar skill. Or no, sorry, you did a social skill.
Yes.
You could reduce the TN of another character's social skill by 1 until the next round, which doesn't really affect us because the way we're setting this up.
Mm-hmm.
Ignore terrain quality if you wanted to, which again won't really affect this situation.
So here's one of the generic Earth ones. Is act carefully to minimize consequences of failure or other dangers that could
Yeah,
arise from the task.
yeah, I
I
like
think
that one.
that could fit.
I've got a good idea of how it works too. Um, the
Okay.
the unicorn looks to this squad of shinobi in front of him and realizes the opportunity that's in front of him, and he bows very respectfully to them, and it just immediately leaves. He takes his gear, he sneaks out the guard's door, um, doesn't make a scene or anything, and he quietly like kind of follows the edge of the castle to be able to get out without being detected. Um,
Perfect.
so they are
He
left
won't be
inside
found
the chain.
on the
It
way
doesn't
out
take
either.
very
Yeah.
much here to break and disable the doors, um, but it will require a skullduggery to sabotage that door.
Works for me. My specialty.
The TN on this one, and I'm going to roll up some of your opportunities from before, is going to be reduced down to a 1.
Alrighty. I'm gonna, and I'm tempted to trade in some of that strife for some successes because I could take a couple extra dice, but I'm gonna be cautious for now and save it. So that'll be 2 successes, 1 strife, and 1 opportunity. Since I'm gonna be using air stance for this, I'll use that to ensure that the destruction of the mechanism is as quiet and cautious as we can make it.
Okay, and how much successes?
I basically don't 2.
Okay.
Basically don't, if as much as possible, I don't want them to know that the back exit is done until they're actually running to try to use it.
Yeah, and the men that you brought, because we have like the director's view here, they've broken out this powdered acid that that they carry with them, and they crack open the tube that's been carrying it, and they pour it out, and you can see it start to burn through the chain. And as the chain breaks, one of them grabs it at the last second, and then eases the weight so that the doors don't make a loud slamming sound, as basically the backer bar that's built into the door gets locked in place. Okay. So for the core group, Joji sees the men come back that are injured, and he looks at you and he gives you this look like they can't go on. We have to leave them, kind of thing. And it doesn't take but a quick review of them. You're down a squad. Whenever you get opportunities in the future, you can only pursue 2 of them now. as you move through the wall, there's the opportunity to get into the main courtyard right now. You could wrap back around to the back gate and get to the tower a little faster. Or you could continue to sow descent up on the gate. So you've got those 3 paths open to you right now.
So,
Sowing descent on
if
the
I could just kind of
top of the
get
wall would literally be going up there and trying to find the other sorcerers and killing them. That would be a straight up assassination for whoever goes.
So I'm curious, and I'm guessing that it would be fairly common knowledge. It's just like a player knowledge thing of like how much defense is like within the tower itself. I'm guessing they have tons of arrow slits and defensive spots within the actual tower too, as well.
Yeah, the tower itself is actually not that defensible. It's actually mostly decorative. Castles in Rokugan are for show. Walls are for defense. Typically, if a wall is broken, a city will admit defeat so that the people inside are not terrorized by an army marching through. In this case, they basically razed the entire city before the army showed up. So winning this castle for like tax and beneficial reasons is going to be very low. This is more for conquering the Moto that are here.
Yeah. So I think in that case, with that in mind, that was going to influence kind of the course of mind. I think sowing descent on the walls is probably better because if we can clear the walls or at least minimize them, then the tower is kind of just locked in, and it's just kind of shooting fish in a barrel at that point. We can just work through the castle itself methodically and know that there's not going to be any pressure.
The other added bonus is with the walls kind of in chaos. Once all the undead have killed the casters up there, or you guys kill the casters up there, they'll start attacking the closest living things, which means they're going to go into the courtyard and attack the Moto that are there.
Yeah, so I think that'll be priority number 1 then, is getting up onto the walls and trying to take out some of those
Okay, cool.
Sorcerers.
You have one squad that's inside that chain room. They are close to the tower. They could move on the tower as well. That's another option that I forgot about. So let's do the roll for the walls. It's definitely going to be skullduggery because we're talking about assassinating people. These are Maho casters.
Okay.
They are going to be quite difficult to take down because they also have like guards and stuff around them. I'm going to roll this up into one roll instead of making a big skirmish. But it is going to be a TN4 to kill them. If you want to kill both. If you want to target one of the 4 that are up on the wall, it'll be a TN3. And you can go through each one individually. If you do 4 or TN4, you'll take out 2 of the 4 that are on the wall. Which is the most your squad can handle, really.
Okay.
Unless you send a second squad to also take out the other 2.
So
which will be a separate roll.
Incidental question here, and I'm totally fine with the answer being no. Well, a two-part question. So these are lion shinobi, not lion samurai, correct?
They definitely are. You've been with them long enough to understand that they are.
Yeah. Within that, how acceptable is it? Because obviously for Scorpion, all bets are basically off on it. How acceptable is it for lion shinobi to use poison?
Man, that is a question I cannot answer as a GM, but you can bring up in the game and we can RP through.
Okay, because the second part of that question is because part of my equipment that hasn't come up at all yet is I have a bunch of poison on me. So I would basically want to ask if I could use that to maybe either like lower the TN or give a boost of some sort or something to.
Joji would be the best person to talk to. And you definitely have the opportunity to have that conversation before executing the orders.
Okay. That's a tough one. Yeah, I think it's at this point, I think the practical bonus of it is just so high.
It is. It will definitely help if you use it.
So I think, especially because they are sorcerers, that probably helps too. I think that probably changes the way that he would perceive it. At least that's the way that I'm going to go into it as a player.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think at that point, Ikoma is going to go up to Joji, and I'll say, the best chance that we have is to get rid of those sorcerers on the walls. Their dark magic controls even darker things, and we must kill them at any cost. I would never recommend this for any normal mortal man, especially not a samurai. But I have some other means that we could use to give us extra success, where mere attacks could do more damage than simple blades. I think we'll kind of like frame it as subtly as he can, but enough to get the point across, especially if this man's also of shinobi ilk.
Yeah, he he kind of nods along with what you're talking about, and then it suddenly clicks that he realizes that you're being like, "Hey, do you want to bring some poison along?" without like saying it. And he kind of like looks a little bit bewildered for a moment, and then he speaks and he says, "My unit is at your command. We will use any tools that you find necessary in the task. I have no qualms against it, if that is your question."
Great. I think it would be wise then. It is our duty to obtain success at whatever cost that we must, and I think it would enhance our chances enough. And that the enemy is so dishonorable to use the magics that they do, that it is sufficient cost for sufficient benefit.
He kind of smiles to you, and he makes like an offhanded comment, and he says, "Do not worry, brother. The Akoma histories will glaze past this indiscriminacy." And he kind of like makes it like a joke, like there's lots of stuff that isn't written about. It's okay, kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. I think he'll just kind of nod and smile and say,
Mainly because he
I'm
realizes
sure it will.
what he thinks is you are an Akoma shadow whose cover is being an Akoma historian, but
Yeah.
you know the truth as the people at the table.
Yeah. Yeah. The subterfuge is still one step deeper, but yes. I think that's also kind of the plan, is it'd be so easy for the Lion to like use them as historians to write out all the secret misdeeds that they want covered. It would be very easy to kind of cover your own tracks that way.
Yeah, you're actually learning a lot about the shade that the Lion has.
Yep. I think that'll be the plan then. So I have equipment wise mechanically 5 uses of poison. I don't know how much you want me to use as part of this, but I'm willing for
So this
any and
this
all
is
of it.
how we can do it. If you would like to go with the original plan of sending 1 unit to tackle 2 guys instead of a TN4, it's a TN3. And that's going to use 2 doses because it's going to be 2 guys. If you want to send 2 units, TN4, 2 doses. And that'll take out all 4 of them.
Yeah. I'll go for both of them then. I'll use the 2 doses to knock it down.
So we're going to go for all 4 of them. So the TN is going to be a 4. Since we haven't rolled anything this high, I'm going to give you a pro tip here. Air is probably your highest ring since you're a shinobi. I'd probably do that.
Well, did you say it would go down to 3?
If you
using
go
the
up to
poison?
2, it will cost you 2 doses of poison, and it will become a TN3. You want to do 2 people instead of 3, or instead of all 4?
Okay, sorry, I thought it was either 4 or
It's going to be 1 dose
3
per person you go after is the easy way to do it. You can send a squad to tackle 2 people at a time or tackle 1 person at a time. If you send both squads, you can tackle all 4 of them at once if you wanted to.
think I'm gonna do that actually. I think getting this wall taken care of is important enough that'll be.
If you send all
what I
4
wanna
squads
do.
at once, because there's going to be a lot of chaos happening up there, I'm actually I'm basically making it more cost effective for you to roll it as one number than to have 2 separate rolls.
Yeah.
Because if you do it as 2 separate rolls, it's going to be 2
Yeah.
times at TN3. Whereas if you do it with both squads, I'm going to give you 1 time at TN4.
Okay. Yeah. I'll send both squads to get everybody then, and I'll use whatever poison that I need to make that as best as it can be.
That will be 4 doses that you'll be using, so you'll have 1 left. With that said, the TN is going to be 4. Since we haven't rolled anything this high, what I would suggest is play to your strengths. It's going to be a skullduggery, which you probably are good at anyways. And you're probably good at air. So I would probably suggest that stance. The other thing is using a void point here would be real helpful.
I'll do that.
Joji, I'm giving you 1 chance to help you during this whole thing. If you would like to use it here, you can. He is considered skilled help, so you'll get a extra white dice to roll and keep.
I will do all of those things. I'll use all the poison, use a void point, and use his help. I really want this part to work.
Yeah, I feel like this is going to be like the big one for you.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, geez. Oh my god. Okay, so that was really good. It's gonna be 5 successes. So the 4 to meet it, and then a bonus. 1 opportunity, 1 strife, which will put me at. Is it equal to your composure or over your composure where you get the penalty? I have 8 composure and 8 now.
It is equal to or over.
Okay, so that'll put me at that threshold then.
Okay. You may want to consider other ways to bring that down. If you unmask here, I will say that your identity being discovered is one of the things that could be on the table if you unmask, which you would be fully aware of as a shinobi. Like if you unmask in front of other shinobi, it could go bad for you. So,
weird mechanical question first. Because I have more dice I could keep. So can I? So I'm before anything's counted, I'm at 7 strife. Could I keep dice that would put me over the composure and then unmask to remove it all to get more successes right now?
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna do that then, and just shotgun everything. So that'll actually be 8 successes total then. 2 opportunity, and then 4 strife, which will put me over the limit at 11 over my 8.
So here's the cool part. You have completed the skill challenge. You got your 15 successes that you needed in total.
What I think that I'm gonna need to unmask though as part of this.
Yeah, you definitely gonna unmask as part of this, and what is your unmasking look like? It's got to be enough to reveal that you are not a lion shinobi. I definitely want to add to the drama here.
I think
No. Did he lock? He mentioned his internet was fuzzy. Let's hope he comes back.
Another one bites the dust. He revealed who he was, and just the other lion shadow just pounced on him.
He was like, smoke bomb.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't see him making the hand signals to swap out with a log or anything, so I'm a little confused as to where he's gone.
I was going to say he should be back in just a moment. Here he is. All right, Jeff. So what does your unmask look like?
Quick thing just to potentially set up a scene, because I have an idea of what it could be, but I don't know if there's the means for it. That there's no like human enemies in the vicinity at all. Like there's just sorcerers and skeletons.
Yeah, if you want to say that the sorcerers aren't human.
Well, I mean that's kind of part of it, because I think you were saying earlier it's not typical for lion to kill somebody. So my initial idea was like to see somebody potentially like escaping or going to inform and just like straight up killing them, kind of tying into the perfectionism angle too.
I think that's definitely a possibility.
There'd have to be.
Yeah. Like there's probably a few like regular Ashigaru on the wall too.
Yeah, so I think he like sees one of them. Like,
the messed up part is
to run,
and was probably just terrified being on the wall with a bunch of skeletons and was actually trying to run away. But you read the situation as him trying to like ring the warning bell.
Exactly, and I think he just like straight up, just like katana out, just kills, just straight up like katana through the back, kills him as he tries to run. And there's just like no sense of qualm or like oops. It's just like I've done a good thing. I've stopped the enemy from warning their people. And there's like no remorse or like hesitation or regret, trying to maintain that perfection of the plan.
The only one that notices you is Akoma Joji. And there's like this moment where the two of you kind of connect, and you can tell that he is suspicious of you now. I'm not going to have him
between the poison and that.
Yeah, he's not going to straight attack you because it's in the middle of the situation. Like you may just be like a lion who performed a dishonorable action, but he thinks something's up with you.
Yeah, I think maybe even because I think Akoma would take very great care to like fight like a lion, you know? And I think in this moment of like craziness that his like stance probably shifts more to like a scorpion stance. Like just like a subtle quick shift. It's hard to say if it was definite or just in the moment, but I think there's probably some little sign of his true fighting style leaking out.
There's definitely like a shade of doubt that's been painted over who your fake idea is.
Yes.
With that said, the gates have been pushed open. Akodo Dono, you have moved your select forces in. Shinjo Isaki, the outrider that joined you, she is commanding her units to come in, and she is attacking the Dark Moto that are inside the courtyard here, clearing a path for you and the select soldiers that are going to siege the place and take on Moto Kaiketsu. There is chaos here. The skeletons that are up on the walls that were archers protecting the castle are now just attacking anything that lives. They are completely mindless, bloodthirsty creatures. So like some of them are like falling off of the wall to try and get down to the ground so that they can like face-to-face fight you. They have no qualms about their undeath. They just like jumping off 100-foot walls to get to you, that kind of thing. But there's like this pure chaos going on the walls, and you can see that the lion shadow are moving around trying to quell the situation as much as they can, but they're kind of overwhelmed there. You can see that Akoma-san has sent up the signal flare, a red smoke, like he's got a smoke stick that gives off red smoke, and that's what shows you that the gates have been open and the entry to the castle is clear. So let's talk about this small force that you're bringing with you. Tombo is around. You have everybody who's here as a player, of course. And Shinjo Isagi is going to mostly be confronting the Moto that are inside the courtyard. So unfortunately, she won't be available. And I think...
Is Senzo with me, or is he like keeping?
Yeah, I think Senzo will be here. However, excuse me, Oda's father has stayed back to take care of the bodies.
Okay, that's fine. So I would I think as we move in, kind of seeing the chaos, I would yell to Itagawa no Kuroda to move in with his infantry and to secure the courtyard for entry, and make sure that no one can get out of the front gate behind us, or at least circle behind a flank. So I want to secure a foothold first before we move forward at all. So I will actually defer to him in this moment to let him take care of the courtyard.
Perfect. Inside the chaos, you're starting to realize what the situation has become. The back gate has been sealed shut. There's no escape for the Moto that are in here. Shinjo is actually taking her forces and riding them along the outside and pushing the Moto in. As Oda brings his forces in, it's kind of this like, it's like a pincer that they can see coming, because they kind of go, the horsemen go around and then bring them to the center. And then Oda, you're marching your men in. It's a hard-fought war, or a hard-fought battle, I should say. The skirmish lasts for a few minutes, which is ridiculous in fighting terms for anybody who's never been in a real fight. But the Moto that are riding, these are expert horsemen. They are riding what are called Onokage, which is a demon shadow, is the direct translation. What Onokage are is... they are basically L5R's answer to the animal from D&D Nightmare, like a horse that's made out of fire, brimstone, and piss and vinegar, and then put the taint on top of it. That's what these things are. The Moto themselves are exceptional horsemen, and the men that are fighting this battle, the casualties are heavy, but you're able to take control of the situation. The part that's most ridiculous about this whole thing is there were 6 Dark Moto on the field versus your squad that you marched in here. And your squad took heavy casualties. These are ridiculously skilled warriors, but thanks to numbers, your victory was inevitable. With the courtyard cleared, the undead taken care of, the walls are secured, and I think what we are going to do is I would like to resolve something between the shinobi first. If everybody's cool with that. For Joji. Joji will approach you once the wall is done. His unit is falling back to the medical tents and is seeking to recover, but Joji himself appears to be about the same skill level as you. He's come out no worse for wear like yourself. He's looking down into the courtyard with you next to him, and he reports to you and he says, the walls are secured, sir. It looks like the courtyard is being finished up now. I've sent the men back to the medical tent. Do you require anything further from me?
Would there be any more extent to our mission that we need to accomplish?
No, you've secured entry to the castle, which was your whole mission. So there's not really a whole lot extra that you need to do here.
Yeah, I think with that, it would just be upfront then. Say the extent to our direct orders and mission from the daimyo have been fulfilled. I'm sure that they would always accept assistance, but our task here from this unit is done. And you and the men are dismissed.
Very well. If I am no longer under your command, and you can hear that slight sheen sound of a sword being drawn, then I have some questions for you. Who are you? And without turning to look at him, you know that he has fallen into a defensive stance. You heard his feet move. It's the tall tale sign of like a foot in the back, like sliding around into kind of an open arc. And he is in what would be considered kind of a squared off stance. It's very firm. And you can feel he's moved into a defensive earth stance as he's questioning you.
Ikoma would turn so that he's looking at him instead of like side to him and like confront him directly. And he'll put his hand kind of on the hilt of his katana, although he won't draw it yet. He'll be prepared to intercept a blow if he's to be surprised by one. What do you mean?
You do not fight like an Ikoma shadow. And you now know of our existence. If you wish to leave the wall, I need to know who you are.
It's one of the situations where it's like I'm sure he would be faster to speak than I am. I actually have I guess a sort of ability that I'd like to work in. One of my things that I picked up. It's kind of tangential. So 2 quick questions. Like who would be like a reasonable non-scorpion that would either want to ally the lion or harm the unicorn?
Let's see. During this time, man, there's a few different people. The Phoenix, for example, have actively joined the lion in their defensive maneuver. Possibly the dragon, though as a clan, they wouldn't ever admit to a single person's action. They'd be like, oh, that was so-and-so who did that. That wasn't the dragon clan. Much the same way as if you were caught as a scorpion, they'd be like, oh, he had nothing to do with us. That was one bad egg.
Yeah.
The crab have been supportive since the beginning as well. Those are kind of the more likely people. The lesser likely person that actually might be a decent option for you is the Mantis, because the Mantis are a minor clan that are basically trying to make a name for themselves. So doing crazy stuff like trying to hide amongst another clan to gain some fame and then suddenly be like, I'm a Mantis. Like, that's not beyond them.
You have a family name on hand for Mantis? For a Mantis, yeah. I like
For
that.
the Mantis, let me just double check the current lore, but I think Saruchi is still a good one. Sorry, I've been trying not to cough into the microphone. Oh, this is before the clan actually forms, so technically you would be of a fleet. So the fun part is you could make up a ship name, and that would be effectively your last name. You would be like, for example, if your first name was Joji, like the shinobi that you're talking to, it would be Joji of the Bleeding Lady, or whatever your ship's called.
Interesting. So I have an ability. One of the things that I've just picked up, one of my shinobi skills that I got working towards the spy rank, which is basically that when I make a social check, which basically would be me trying to convince him that I'm an ally, it lets me choose an advantage or disadvantage, and that the person that I'm speaking with will believe that I have that advantage or disadvantage as though it were actually on my character sheet.
Okay, I dig it. All right, cool.
So one of the advantages is ally to a certain person. I'd basically like to convince him that I'm one of these mantis shinobi who's like worked out a deal with a specific ally that this person that Joji would respect, to basically try to see that this is all on the inside, on the up and up, just kind of subterfuge within the lion from a person that he would understand rather than Scorpion. That makes sense.
Okay. Yeah, that that could work. So your character has a lot of in-world knowledge that you as a player may not have.
Yeah,
What kind
exactly.
of person, yeah, like what kind of person are you looking for? Like a daimyo or a figurehead type person, or are you looking for somebody that's a little bit more of like on the inside bureaucratic type person? And are you looking at like clan level or like imperial level of a person to name call or name drop?
Ooh, crazy idea. And if it's too over the top as to like not be believable, then like say so. But we got as part of the deal that Takeo worked out, he got like imperial assistance. How insane would it be for the emperor to have shinobi that he would like secretly integrate to provide extra assistance?
Officially, no such thing exists. But yeah, like other like the funny part is like if you are a shinobi of a clan, officially shinobi don't exist and all that stuff, but like everybody has them. There's most definitely an imperial shinobi branch.
Definitely, yeah. And I think most shinobi would know that, even though obviously that would never be. So I think it's obviously not the emperor, but like some imperial person, maybe even the person who was sent to kind of officiate between Takeo, Akodo, don't know, and the imperial reinforcements, to basically say, I'm an ally of him. He sent me to assist. Obviously, everything's under the table, but we both kind of know what's happening. So we both know that it's like above board because it's the emperor, but also below board because shinobi don't exist and neither of us exist anyways. It's basically going to be my angle of attack.
Yeah. So, I was just looking to see if there was a name for it, but there, like knowing the lore, like the emperor definitely has to have shinobi of his own. More than likely, they are. Yeah, they're actually talked about during Children of the Emperor. So okay, cool. So I'm not breaking anything about the lore.
That'll be my final answer then for this problem is that I'm a shinobi that was assigned by the emperor as part of this treaty to provide allies to Takeo because of his wish being for peace was granted, and that I have an advantage that he would be able to perceive that I'm allied with this delegate that's been sent by the emperor to
So
work this
I have
scenario.
a suggestion for you. Instead of choosing ally, there's one called Noble Bearing. Which basically it shows that you are of noble birth. Oda actually has it. But it would be a way for someone to distinguish like your noble lineage connected to the imperial family.
I like
by
it.
basically saying, "Oh, I'm with the emperor," and he would suddenly realize, "Oh shoot, you do look like you belong to this one family."
Yeah. So he technically has, if he's still suspicious, he can make a check to try to resist believing that this advantage is not correct. But it is a TN5 sentiment check to do so. And depending on what ring that he uses, it might increase or decrease the TN.
Okay. He definitely will because he is a shinobi, so he's learned not to trust. You said it was a courtesy?
Sentiment.
Sentiment. Okay, let me look here for him. Sentiment falls under scholar. Okay. And he will He will take the air approach to analyze.
Okay, that won't affect it then. It'll just still be TN5.
Okay. Yeah, he can't do anything about this. Yeah, so he's gonna fail, and he looks at you, and without you like necessarily name dropping, like you kind of do the traditional Rokugani thing where you kind of talk around the subject.
Yeah.
He looks at you and he bows his head deeply, and like in a fluid motion, he sheathes the sword and he bows his head deeply, lowering his sword down like you can kill him if you want kind of thing. And he says, he kind of mutters, "Forgive me, Sepun-san. I did not recognize your lineage." He assumes that you are part of the Imperial Sepun family, who is responsible directly for the Emperor's safety, basically.
Yeah, I think seeing him like kind of offer himself in that way, there'll be that moment of like, well, I don't exist anyways, so that's not necessary. And we both know that none of this happened.
Of course, and the Emperor is well aware of the Lion's Shadow, so I see no issue here. Forgive my indiscretion. And he kind of like is locked in this position of bowing until you dismiss him. And then once you finally dismiss him, like he doesn't raise his head. He shirks away like a humble servant that has been scolded. And there's that moment where like you're sweating a little and you like turn around and you're like, oh man, that was intense. That was cool. You diffused a skirmish that I was going to hoist upon you.
Hey, Shinobi trickery wins again.
All right, cool. So I think that after that scene is over, Jeff, you're able to make it to join the rest of them to begin kind of the sieging of the castle. I'm going to narrate this part because we don't have a map, and I don't feel like doing the room-to-room search that this really is. So let's just kind of talk about it. Essentially, you guys enter into the castle. You know that there are two subfloors to this place, and then there's the actual tower itself. Some of the men are sent into the subfloors to check that. A few of them are sent up into the top tower. But how does the group want to go? Does the group want to go subfloors or into the tower? You haven't been able to get confirmation on exactly where Kaiketsu is hiding.
Once I meet back up with the others, I would inform them that from our scouting potential, though we couldn't confirm it, that we believe it would be more likely that he's up and not down, considering that he had to manage the battlefield and sight is going to be very important for a general.
I mean, I was going to say, like, knowing Kaiketsu, he's not the kind of person to necessarily run away. He is the kind of person to try and pick a battlefield that's advantageous to him. And I think that up in a tower would probably be, so he knows when we're coming, most beneficial.
Cool. So, yeah, there's this moment where you guys go room to room through the first floor. Like your squad has been distributed between the first floor, the sub basement. Everybody's searching these rooms. You guys are moving through. You find the staircase. You move up. You get to the second floor. And the second floor feels unnatural, kind of like the rest of this city. As I mentioned, the city itself was actually raised to the ground so that there'd be a flat courtyard inside of the walls. This floor seems like it was raised, if you will, like where separations and dividers and walls would be, they're all gone. There's a couple of support pillars that keeps the floor in place, but everything is empty and there's a single staircase that goes up to the third floor. This would be really unnatural in a normal castle, and you can feel a sense of dread in the air. That is my warning to you as a GM that the third floor gets weird.
I would turn to Tombo Cow then, and I'd ask her if she senses anything, like, beyond what we're already feeling.
She kind of starts to reach out, and then you can see her shudder. And I think Oda kind of takes notice before anybody else does. Oda, you discovered that Abun, her loyal Yojimbo, actually died during the battle as well. So you've kind of stepped in and become even more guarding of her since discovering that. She after she's done with her shudder, she says, I am afraid I may not be of as much help as I'd like to be. The floor above us is afflicted. It will be dangerous to go there. And I do not have enough jade for everyone.
So explain to me, how exactly do you resist the effects of Maho again, or of the taint?
So basically, because the area is afflicted, what's going to end up happening is at the end of the scene, there's going to be an earth save around it. Earth fitness, if I remember right. I'm trying to find where the condition, or where the scene conditions are. Not afflicted. Afflicted is actually the condition that gets that happens to you. Where did it go? I think it's right after mass combat. Elite Samurai Army. Where's it going? Great. If one of you guys find it, I'm trying to stay as close as I can to the rules instead of making a bunch of hand wavy GM stuff.
Yeah.
We're learning.
Let me see what I can find. I remember I tried to look this up before. There wasn't really anything. There's the afflicted in 271. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, you
conditions.
Yeah, basically how the terrain works is if you are at the end of the scene, if you didn't have Jade to protect you, you'll possibly get the afflicted condition.
So my boon of Bishamon, my Omamori, that's made of jade, right?
It is not.
Oh, it is not.
It's a paper charm. That's what an Omamori is.
Okay, never mind. I'm a little crazy. Well, snap.
Maybe it is in the skirmish.
Well, I think
here we go.
Oh, you found it?
Yeah, it is defiled terrain, which is on page 267. Essentially how it works is at the end of the scene, each character who is within the defiled terrain, so everybody who goes upstairs, will make a TN2 fitness check or meditation check. Ooh. Each character who fails suffers the afflicted condition, and then we move on to the afflicted condition.
I have really good meditation because I spec very heavily into dueling. I think Takeo would look at the small group that's with him, and he would say, "What's the name of the person who wrote or the kami that wrote the book Leadership? Is that a kami Akodo?
Yeah, that was Akodo who wrote Leadership.
Okay, I would say Akodo said that a man is not a leader if he is unwilling to do that which he asks of his followers. And I say, I will forego the jade."
Tombo looks to you and she nods. She holds out her hand now that we're kind of discussing who should have the jade. She has 2 pieces of jade available. You can see that she has kept one for herself, so technically she has 3.
Yeah. So who else? So I've got Oda
got
with us
Senso available. Shinjo Isaki could come with you as well. Those are the 2 NPCs that are readily available at the moment.
And is the war mostly won at this point? Sorry, Chris. I'm kind of just trying to catch up at where we are at. Like, are we just basically have overtaken the tower now and are clearing it out, or
Yeah,
how much of the
literally
battle is left?
last thing that stands in your way is Moto Kaiketsu himself.
Okay, so tell me this, and maybe this is kind of just me being game breaky, but is like sieging at all a thing that's something samurais would do? Because at this point, if the battle is won, why would we not just siege them and wait for Jade to be sent to us?
You can. The reason that you're probably not doing it right now, and this is me being the GM to kind of tell you where the story's going, he has 2 unholy artifacts that Akodo Dono wants to secure and destroy.
Gotcha.
The only way he can be confident that they get destroyed is by actually capturing them instead of just dropping a castle on him.
Additionally, there's a second army coming around through the mountain that they'll probably need help dealing with. So the sooner we deal with Kaiketsu, they might just surrender. Whereas if we did have to siege,
Kaiketsu is their leader as well.
Yeah.
So. I would tell Takeo that you are a daimo or a lord now, and you have an entire country or clan to look after. We all appreciate the honor and courage that you show, but you not taking Jade is simply not an option. I will forgo the Jade.
And I would look at him, and I would look at Tombo Cow. How does Tombo Cow look like is going through her mind as he says this?
She seems concerned.
Yeah. I say you will take the Jade, Itagawa-sama, or you will not be coming with us.
Now that is like in terms of a direct order. There's really not much I can do besides.
No, I'm using my daimyo ability that I can give you a direct command. You can't say no.
All right. And then the alternative to saying no is just what? Am I like? I don't really get to say.
I mean, I guess you could ignore me, but that'd be like a super huge blow to your honor, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think game.
Does it not make more sense that a daimo would not be doing that though? Like,
I mean,
as his gun so or whatever.
Traditionally, yeah, the daimo would take Jade for himself. There are 2 pieces, and maybe he's giving you one and taking one himself. You're not really sure what his next move is. He's basically ordering you to take one of the 2 pieces that are available.
All right, I will reluctantly and visibly frustrated take it, but out of an order and respect for you, I will do it. I will tell you that if there's any signs of taint or trouble for you, though, that it is my duty and my sworn duty to protect you, and I've not forgotten that. I might not be your Yojimbo anymore, but I will never give up that duty.
Yeah. Takeo would nod, and sorry, go ahead.
I have a bit of a cheeky move that I might want to pull here. I don't think I would say anything overtly. It's not my place, but I'm sure that there is a mechanical like disadvantage that would put you like at risk against paint. Is that correct? I'm looking through the list right now, but I'm guessing there's one in there somewhere.
That would put the daimo at risk of getting tainted?
No, me personally.
I think he's trying to like say he's got some sort of like disorder or something that makes him more susceptible.
Oh, no, there's not really a disadvantage that makes you more susceptible to that stuff. At least that I can recall. I may be wrong.
I thought one of the curses had something like that. But...
let's see here.
Maybe.
I'm also going to remind you, Chris, that I have a damaged organ. I'm not sure mechanically what exactly that does to me, but I'm sure that you will remember.
Yeah, I remember what it does. Basically, when I feel like your character has been strained, I can then cause you to have the effect of the damaged organ.
So then, who is going with us then? Is it Tombo, Takeo, Akoma, me, and anybody else, or is it just us? 4?
I think Oh man, I think could the four of us handle Moto Kaiketsu with two of these pieces? Do I think that's possible, or do I think he's going to be like incredibly strong?
You know that he basically did a coup d'etat of the unicorn by force.
Oh, that's pretty strong then. Okay. Oh man, but I don't want to put Senzo at risk.
I was gonna say you know that Shinjo Altanasari did get away, but basically he pitted the unicorn against themselves, created a civil war, and has taken control. Mostly through force.
Where's our badass Imperial soldiers?
They saw we won the battle and immediately went to deal with the other threat coming over the mountain.
Bastards.
I think he's smiling, so maybe they didn't.
They did.
Oh, okay, cool.
I'm looking at the disadvantages right now to see if I can find anything that fits what Jeff was looking for.
The only one that's even like remotely close that I'm seeing is Drogen's curse, which like makes you more susceptible to like poison and disease.
Stuff, yeah.
But even that's like
Yeah, that's stretching it there,
just the
Jeff.
actual taint disadvantage, which I think is not going to serve me well.
Let me look to see if there's a new disadvantage at all inside Shadowlands, because I've got that book in front of me right now.
I mean, I don't want to take too much time with it. No, it's because it's not worth it. But I think it would be something that my character would do, would basically try to like subtly say like, I'm going to be risky to take unless you give me the jade.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone would argue you having the jade anyways if it matters.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say anything. I've already basically foregone taking any of them, so.
Me and Takeo are trying to outman each other.
I'm not sure it'd be proper to like ask though, is the only thing. Like to like straight up be like, I would like to take the jade. Like I think that reflects very poorly.
Itagawa and I are over there in the corner, like flexing and yelling at each other, like, "Rah!"
So there is one you could take.
Oh.
It's called Demon Wound. Basically, you could fake that you received a wound from a demon, and being exposed to whatever's up there might endanger your soul. Because if you have a demon wound, any check that involves your wound, which could be something like resisting Shadowlands Taint, I can make you re-roll dice showing success or exploding success.
Yeah, so I think with that, Akoma would like approach.
The way it's described is you were wounded by an Oni while the scar isn't tainted, or perhaps isn't even visible anymore. It causes you to suffer from terrible nightmares. So basically, it's demon PTSD.
Yes, I think Akoma then would try to like find a way to like approach Akodo Dono then, and basically tell him that it's some time ago, and I hid it while it was not important, but I sustained an injury during a conflict with a demon, and while the scar is long healed, the wound still pulls. If you bring me up there without protection, it may be at risk. Though, of course, the order is still yours to give.
I would kind of nod, and I wouldn't even make you roll. I would just take your word for it, and I would nod, and I would say, of course, if you are extra susceptible to these things, then please take it.
You would just nod, apologetically, like shameful that he has to ask and accept it, but knowing that it's better than falling to it and being a burden to the others with it. But then if it was offered to him, he would take it. Yeah, I'm putting off the disadvantage that I have that if anyone has any reason to suspect me that I'm lying, I don't know that anyone here would. They can try to make the check to resist it. But otherwise, they'll believe that I have that.
I think would possibly do it isn't even in this scene that we've introduced as an NPC so far. Yeah, Ty, this is actually a good point for us to take a break now that we've decided where the Jade's going. From here out, it's going to be the final battle stuff. So this is probably our best and only opportunity to do a break.
Okay.
Go ahead and do it now. I have 11:40 Central Time or sorry, 11:04 Central Time. We'll come back at 11:09 Central Time. I just realized that I've been talking with the muted there and didn't even think about it.
I was just gonna type it in the chat. It's like, I don't
Good
know if
job.
you're talking to somebody else or to the game, but you're
Nope, it
not.
was me trying to talk to anybody who views this game. For everybody who stuck out the series for all the episodes, thanks. I know that we weren't as scheduled as I would have liked it, being every 2 weeks, but things happen. I'm just really glad to see that we were able to get all of our games that we planned in and complete the season. That's actually a really huge achievement when it comes to online gaming, when you're talking about multiple session games, being able to commit to 6 sessions and actually have 6 sessions happen. So that was really awesome. These guys have been great. They all have fantastic channels that you should go check out and see what they're doing. But for anybody who did tune in, this is the end of this season. However, as you can tell, I've planted seeds for more games as part of this story. So there'll be a season 2 story. There'll be a season 3 story. But there will be a little bit of a break because I am expecting a baby and doing a move and a bunch of real life stuff. So the channel may be quiet after this for a little while. But I do plan on doing kind of a recap episode where I'm going to go through my GM prep. And if any of the players are available for it, we're going to kind of comment on some of the stuff that happened episode by episode, like a director's commentary, cast commentary kind of thing. Hopefully that'll teach new GMs to L5R some good tips and things like that, or what I did to prepare. And I'll show you my notes. I was going to scan them. I don't know if I'll have access to a scanner. I may have to like retype them into a Google Doc just so that people can see what I was kind of doing. But I want to make that available for any of the viewers that are curious. All right.
Man, some of these higher level abilities are really effective.
Yeah, we haven't.
Working on that spy track, because that ability that I've been using is like a rank 5
Yeah,
thing, but you said that I could get that because I'm working towards spy, and it's
Yep.
just immediately become like so useful.
yeah. That the titles really kind of change things in a way I wasn't expecting, but I'm kind of glad because you guys got access to more powerful stuff that way. Um, like um, like the Daimo title has got some good stuff in there. The spy one does too. Gunso's a little bit more directed towards mass combat, and I think if we had more mass combats, Gunso would be a lot more useful. But I really like the title system. I actually talked about it inside the L5R community or L5R role playing game community on Facebook about how if you wanted to do what they used to call advanced paths and alternate paths, you could do them as titles, which are kind of like these one level dips into like different schools to give you a special ability in 4th edition. You could do that with titles inside this one, which is fantastic. And then the other thing I thought about is like if a player wanted to cultivate his own legend in the world and say like the crab that I introduced you guys to, that was a previous character that I played, and he earned the name the Snow Crab due to the armor that he wore. In a game where I have a player who does something kind of unique like that, I could say, hey, your title is the Snow Crab, and then tell you how to get some cool stuff and then give you a special ability for being the Snow Crab or whoever your character is, which is totally
so awesome.
the coolest thing ever for like an Asian themed game. Because like think about like all the good movies where they're like, oh, it's the wolf who's over there. Like he has a signature ability because he's the wolf, not because he went to a special school. That's just genius.
Yeah, I eat that stuff up. Like as a player, as a GM, as a spectator, it's like just so fulfilling when you can take those sort of actions and get like a tangible thing. Like,
yeah, I think if I was,
because you built this reputation and these deeds, you are like literally known as the guy who is that person. And it's just like there's nothing better than that in a role playing game than getting those sorts of things.
Another like big L5R campaign, I would definitely try to work in one of those titles for like renown. All right, it looks like we have everybody. All right, cool. Let's introduce everybody. It's the 6th episode. You guys should kind of know everybody. So let's make it kind of quick. I'm Chris. I'm Run Drop Dice. I do lots of L5R and other like Asian-inspired stuff. I have a game that is currently in beta and may see a Kickstarter at some point in the future when my life allows it to do so. The game's called Shaoyun. You can find a link inside the description for this video if you want to download that. It's for Index Card RPG, which is a fantastic, super easy to learn system. If you know D&D 5e, you know Index Card RPG. It's that easy. Chris, you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, I am also Chris, aka the RP Ginger. I am playing Itagawa no Akodo Oda. And I have a YouTube channel, the RP Ginger, where I run currently. The only thing I'm running is Storm King's Thunder. I'm going to look to dip into some DCC after I finish up that campaign. And other than that, check my channel out and can't wait to see how this ends, Chris.
Nice. And Ty?
Well, I'm Tyler from the channel On a Roll, RLE, like roleplay. I am currently running a Providence, which is like my D&D 5e Western homebrew. I am starting to get into the Magic the Gathering D&D. I've got a bunch of stuff that I want to run that I just have to find the time for in different systems. But yeah, no, it's a lot of fun. I'm enjoying L5R. Someday in the future, I'm going to run a campaign in this because I love it. But I'm playing Akodo Takeo, or Akodo Dono, the Ronin third son, now raised to daimyo in the course of like a few months. And it is a lot of fun. It is crazy. I'm loving that this is coming to a head, and I cannot wait for the next one. It's going to be awesome.
Perfect. And Jeff?
Yeah, I'm Jeff. I have a channel as well. It's called Encounter Balance. I'm running a new campaign over there. We just did the second session the other day. It's been really interesting to play out. we're doing a sort of experiment where we like decided on what story we kind of wanted to tell first with the game, and then built a setting around it rather than like setting the game in a world. We like built a world for the game. It's been really interesting to see it play out so far. They have some really cool players
It's a
playing
good
that
idea.
one. Yeah, it's been a really cool experiment and something that I think I'm going to start doing a lot more. It's been cool how it's shaped the characters and the world, knowing kind of what direction we wanted to try to move things in. But yeah, I am playing. I've used it so rarely, I forgot my real name. So Sashiro Akagi, who is posing as an Imperial Shinobi, who is posing as a Lion's Shadow Shinobi, who's posing as a Lion Ikoma historian.
Your fake ID is too
Now that we've
complicated. You got to back out soon.
yeah, we're getting to that point. Yeah, but it's been a super fun game. I've really, in the short time I've been in this setting, like have learned to like love it exceptionally. It like ticks so many of the boxes that I love in settings and RPGs. So it's sad to see it wrap up, but also happy to see how it'll end. Hopefully for the better.
Man, it's super satisfying to be able to say, let's do 6 and actually get the 6. I mentioned it earlier, but man, like it blows my mind. Like it's for everybody who watches online games that hasn't had a chance to play in them, like getting past 2 sessions can be very hard. So thank you guys for sticking with me, even though schedule stuff and all that, like this has been fantastic. I'm really glad that we all stuck it out and made it through. So let's kind of jump right into it. I'm going to kind of put us right into the 3rd floor. There's nothing exciting that's going to happen on the staircase. So what's going to end up happening is actually it'll be right before you go to the 3rd floor. You are stepping up the staircase and you can hear what sounds like a hollow beat of like a hammer against wood. There's like this thud sound. There's a tinge of smoke in the air, something acrid, like possibly burning bodies. It could be lingering from the people that are being burned out in the battlefield, or it could be from this room. Once you've graced past the staircase, you can see that there is a mockery of what Rokugan is. If you guys are familiar with the idea of sacred prayer ropes, it's basically a rope that has prayers that are prayer scrolls that are folded into kind of a triangle pattern, suspended from the rope. They're usually used at shrines. There's a mockery of what that would be. There is a chain that has human corpses that have been defiled and folded into these like squared ribbons hanging from the chain as you come up the staircase. Inside the room on the other side, this floor seems exactly like the 2nd floor, except for it is defiled terrain. There is Moto Kaiketsu. He is at the other end of the room. He has 2 skeletal warriors with him. One is simply holding this large, it looks like a quiver almost, but it has spears inside of it. And the other one is holding a large sword. Both of them seem to be filling the role of like servants to him. You can see at his side is the sword your father was carrying. The katana that you've learned, I should say the cursed katana that you have learned is called Wisdom. Now that it is at his side, one of its quirks becomes revealed to you. Because it is touching him, it is now glowing with kind of a bluish, translucent, kind of warm glow. The horse he's on is one of those onakage. It's made mostly of what appears to be like a black, viscous smoke. You can see the veins of fire underneath him, where the hair would be. This thing is mostly bone and sinew. Kaiketsu himself is sitting on the back inside his signature plate armor that you saw inside the court. And he smiles at you as he puts his mempo into place. I knew this would end one day, but I didn't expect it here.
If you didn't expect it here, Kaiketsu, then you're a fool and a monster.
Akodo-kun, do you know of the prophecy of man?
I assume it has something to do with the two objects you carry.
It does. Daidoji Dajan saw a world without the kami, without the need for such magic and frivolity, and he kind of like casts his hand down at the skeletons like they're dogs almost. They're completely below him. A Rokugan ruled by humans, not spirits. With these tools, I can achieve that. All you have to do is turn around. You can join me. I have another front. And we can take the Empire. Imagine a world not run by kami.
I can't imagine anything worse.
Your father wished for that world.
My father was a fool.
Much slower than mine.
My father was a man who betrayed his family, betrayed everything he once stood for, and as a result, was killed by a traitor who betrayed everything he believed in and everything he stood for.
I would like everyone to mark one strife on their character sheet.
He's trying to talk us. He's trying to. Oh, I see what he's doing. He's just talking.
You can feel a strangeness in the air. It is almost like this room is smaller. Like it feels claustrophobic around you. But at the same time, the edges of the room bleed into nothingness. It seems like there is no end to the darkness that is on the edges of the room itself. The only source of light is the window behind Kaiketsu.
Can I just call out, pulling out my Atsuki, I think it is, which is like a great hammer, right, Chris?
Yeah. Yep.
And say his tongue is tainted and his voice is poison. Don't know. It is time to end this.
And I would look at Kaiketsu, at Moto Kaiketsu, and I'd say, you can take off the katana and the armor right now and live, or at least retain some form of honor. No one needs to know what you were trying, what you were attempting to do. Or I can kill you here and shame you in a way far worse than the way you shamed my father.
He looks at you and he says, Akodo-kun, it doesn't have to end this way. But perhaps you'll be the first example. I could use a new army. And he holds out his hand almost like Vader does. And you can see him like form a grip, and you can hear the crunch of his armor from his gauntlet. There's this dark fire that kind of envelops from his fist up his gauntlet.
Oh boy.
I'm making a roll real quick, but I'm assembling his pool. So give me just 1 second here.
I'm using my quick reflexes to draw my weapon.
You absolutely can.
Just like a flick of the wrist, and suddenly the blade is in the air, and his hands between him and Moto Kaiketsu, catching the light, a beacon.
All right, and
Showdown. I throw a Koma Hideki forward first to take the first blow.
Okay. As his hand ignites on fire, you can feel a sense of like heat bubbling up inside your chest, and
Ooh.
your whole body explodes in this black flame.
Ooh.
You're racked with pain as you feel that. Let me just see here. Water ring plus number of.
Is he using Maho on me?
Absolutely is.
This guy.
Let's see. He has. I have to see how many tainted rings he has. Hold on. Okay. He's going to do 6 supernatural damage to you.
Is that fatigue?
That is fatigue.
Is that lowered at all by my armor, or is it just straight damage?
Unless your armor affects supernatural, it does not.
Oh, okay. Nice.
And he has one opportunity. What he would like you to do, or what I would like you to do with my opportunity, is make a TN3 fitness check. If you choose a different, or whatever ring you choose may have an effect on that TN.
TN3 fitness. I'm going to go with water.
Water, okay. It will be a TN3.
Okay.
Or if you fail, you will suffer the. Let's see. I think he wants to silence you. That's more demoralizing. The silence condition.
Yeah, well, he can suck it because I got 3 successes, a strife, and is that an opportunity? Yeah, an opportunity.
Perfect. He received some strife, and the way that I'd like to describe this is you can see the flame go up his arm, and it starts consuming him, and you can see the flame as it goes across his face. It peels back this veneer that he had that made him look like a healthy young man, and you can start to see the taint infection on his face. He's got these large blisters that come up right above his mempo because he has a half face mempo, not a full face mempo.
I'm going to use the opportunity to perform the task efficiently, so it doesn't even look like I break a sweat. Like I just like shrug it off.
Okay.
Hopefully frustrating him.
Was that damage still taken?
Yeah. That's okay. I've got a dank ability I can use.
I also have a dank ability. I'm not sure how it works, Chris, but can I use my school ability, Way of the Phoenix, which is once per scene when a character makes a check, which I believe Tyler just did.
Yep.
I can remove any of the strife that contains strife, which he said it did. I can remove all the strife that he takes, and then negate any strife that he has and any fatigue he has to my school rank, which I think is 4 now.
You absolutely can use that. So
I only take 2 fatigue then, and no strife.
I think you take no fatigue or no strife and 2 damage.
I haven't had a chance to check your character sheet. You are probably not school rank 4.
Then 3, I'm pretty confident on.
I was gonna say, I think everybody's around 2 or 3, depending on how they spent their experience.
I spent a lot of experience as a daimyo. So
most of mine was in my. I think I checked, and it's 32, right? And I think I had like 30-ish into my school.
Well, the way it works is you get to 24 to get to rank 2, and then it resets to 0, and then you build.
Oh, then yeah, I definitely don't have it then. So 2,
like rank 2, yeah.
That's fine. That's still good.
And then
not 6.
I'm not really sure how this thematically poses, but at that point, can I have that as like me getting in the way and just charging this guy with my hammer?
Yeah, so this is like, I was gonna say this is a spiritual attack. So I think the best way for you to intervene is to like harass him directly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'll just tell Tombo to stay behind me and look after the daimyo, and then just run at him and post myself.
So like you give your order and you like push ahead and you swing up your hammer, and your hammer is like this, like a polo swing where it's kind of down and then up kind of from left to right. You smash into him and he stumbles back, and that's when you see that veneer of human peel away.
Awesome.
And he's just like sickly and pale.
Mm-hmm. You can see that he's got pustules, and there's this black spidery veins across his left side of his face.
Okay. Yeah, Takeo's like clutching his chest.
Let's do some initiative, because that's about where we're at right now.
Yeah, let's go ahead and do that. And that is choose your ring, and then it's tactics, and plus our focus, because right? Or
Yeah, I think we were all ready for this one. Yeah.
Yep, focus for this one.
okay.
And
So
I think he's gonna do
tactics is sweet. I'm gonna go water stance. And that is 2, 3, 4. Wow. Okay. Okay. 4 success, 2 advantage, and 1 strife. So I guess you get +5 because it was focus, so 9. So 9 successes, 2 opportunities, and 1 strife. And I'm water stance.
Okay. All right, that looks like. And Ty, could you put yours inside there as well? Oh, wait, you've got yours. I was looking.
Yeah. Oh, he got 13? Holy cow.
He's a monster.
Oh, my word.
He has some advantages to use as well. He is going to, he's going to name another ring. If his next check uses that ring, he's going to reduce the TN by 1. He is going to use the Earth ring. And his next stance, you'll see that, or sorry, not Earth. He will use Fire because he's stacking shit in his advantage here. He pulls out this, it's called an Ujek lance. It basically looks like kind of a medieval lance, like the more traditional kind, where it's very narrow, and then there's like this large point at the end that's entirely designed to punch through armor.
Ooh.
And he levels it down. This is what came out of that big quiver-looking thing. And he begins his charge. He is going to charge at Oda because Oda is the one that kind of got into his face. I imagine it's kind of like that wheeling around to bring in the charge. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
So real quick,
TN
while
of
you're-
1, unless Oda is in a different stance that affects his TN. What stance did you roll for initiative?
Earth.
Earth? Okay. So on the bright side, he can't critical you.
So real quick, Chris, while they're rolling that up, one of the opportunities that you can use for air is that I can learn a disadvantage of the foe's choice. So if it's okay with you, I'd like to use that. I basically get to see I'm using these powers and then charging ready to attack.
Yeah. Let's see. Disadvantage for him. He has actually one of these new disadvantages. Let me grab it real quick here. 96. He he legitimately has demon wound.
Oh.
So the way this works, now that you are aware of what his disadvantage is, at any point you can invoke that disadvantage. It's kind of like invoking an aspect in Fate, so long as it makes sense for the scene. Which means I have to tell you what this thing does. Basically, when you make a check that involves your wound, such as a Fitness Earth to get a good night's sleep, or a Shadowlands meditation check to refrain from crying out in pain when an Oni is near, you must choose to re-roll a success or exploding success.
Perfect. I actually might have a way to use that.
Sorry, Chris, did you tell me to roll something before all that started?
No, I'm rolling against you.
All right. I also have an opportunity I'd like to use, but you can do your thing first.
No, your opportunity actually goes first.
Okay, so my Earth initiative lets me know, or a character's disadvantage that I know. I'm pretty sure I know Tyler's or Takeo's, which is that he is easy to anger, if I'm not mistaken. But would I also know Tombo's by now? Or is that something that just never came up?
No, I think you would. I think you would know a little bit more about her because you spent time with her. I don't want to penalize you and be like, nah, you don't know anything about her. She has the advantages that I put up inside the Facebook group, disadvantages, which
Right.
I listed all of them. Let me just double check her real quick.
Sorry about that. I should know that.
I think I ended up putting them up there because you got to know her. Let's see. If I didn't, I'll tell you what they are. Here we go. You know that she is soft-hearted. That's her anxiety, which means that she won't kill. That's important to know. And she has kind of a custom disadvantage, which I'm calling it eccentric. So basically the way that one's going to work is, let me just see if there's anything that's close. Secret cynicism, addiction, battle trauma. Perfectionism is what she is closest. That'll work.
Okay. Second question, sorry, but can I use it on myself for my damaged organ and like not have that be an effect this scene?
How does that advantage specifically worded?
It says they do not apply the disadvantage on this scene check. Or
Did they choose someone else though?
Choose another. Yeah, sorry. So I'll use it on Ty then, which is his injury that he suffered, I think, also.
Oh, dude, get rid of that lost finger, baby.
I guess how does that even make sense? But can I do that?
Yeah, you can.
Okay, that's what I'll do then.
Sweet.
Okay.
My finger grows back momentarily. I'm the lizard man from Spider-Man.
It's not that it grows back momentarily.
I know, I'm just kidding.
Penalize you for now.
I get it. I know.
Okay. Let me just double check this here. Okay, cool. All right. So this is what he is going to do. He wheels around to charge you. He lowers the lance in, and you can feel the point sink into your chest. It's like being hit with a ballista bolt, basically. This thing tears through your armor. It's going to do... Let me just double check the damage here. That comes out to... Oh, wait. He used fire, so that's actually... Yeah. He's an asshole bad guy, so he's going to do it. 11 points of damage.
Mamma mia. Does my armor resist that at all?
Your armor can resist that, yes.
11? I don't even know if it matters.
What kind of armor are you wearing?
Ashiagara.
You're wearing Ashigaru? I think is that physical 3 or 4?
3.
It's 3. Physical 3, so that's going to drop you down to 8.
It kills me. Or it doesn't kill me, but fatigues me to my max.
Okay.
Oh. Oh.
And then he will use 2 advantages, or 2 opportunities rather, to move out a range band from all of you. Actually, because the way range bands work, he's going to move a range band away from you specifically.
Sorry, it doesn't actually drop me. I haven't updated my endurance. I have a little more than that.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Holy.
Yeah, he's a problem.
Okay.
And then he will use 1 advantage to cancel one of the 2 strife he's taking. So he'll take 1 strife. And I think the strife that he gets is from the impact. He has to like jerk the lance, and the lance shatters underneath him. So that weapon will go away.
Thank goodness.
He's still got a katana.
Yeah, I don't care. At least it's better than the friggin' War Lance doing 11 damage.
That was mostly due to opportunities. Remember, he attacked in the fire stance.
Oh,
so
that's
his
right.
strike got used too.
Yeah, that's right. I guess it is a magic katana too. Don't remind me, Jeff. All right. Okay. Is it my turn?
Is Takeo.
So how far away did he move from me?
He is. Let's see here. What is the range band? I can't remember if they're numbered in this one, right?
Like how big is this tower? Can he move that far away?
There is a special effect in the room.
I don't like that.
Remember when I said it feels like claustrophobic, but at the same time that there is no end to everything around you?
Okay. Are ready to actions a thing in this?
They absolutely are. He is effectively range band 2 from you.
Okay.
Which means you can move an attack if you wanted to. Since you'll be using a sword. Keep in mind, he is mounted as well, and that thing is basically a sentient murder machine on its own.
So he's how far away from me right now? Can I move and get right up next to him?
You absolutely can, because your katana is a range of 0 to 1, if I remember right, for katana.
Yeah.
He's at 2, so if you move a range band closer, you'll be 0.
Oh, okay, cool. So it basically just made it so we can't attack him and then move a range band away. Okay, yeah. I'm gonna move up to him.
Relative, so like when I say he's range band 1 from all of you except for Oda, who he's 2 from now.
Okay, so I'm immediately going to Warrior's Resolve because I'm in the water stance. So I can use that because it doesn't require a check, and it lowers my fatigue equal to my, I believe, glory. So I lower by 7.
No, honor.
Well, I lower by 6 then, so I'm down to 0. I have no fatigue. I'm going to move up to him, and I'm going to get him off of his horse.
Okay.
I'm going to attack his horse and hopefully just slaughter it right now.
That is a sound choice.
Yes, I figure as much because I don't want him charging back and forth and moving out of range bands. So I'm in water stance. So I have a lot of dice because I invested very heavily in melee. And I'm going to roll. Here we go. Ooh, okay. Oh, wowza. Okay, 3 exploding successes. Thank you for getting rid of the lost finger. 2 more exploding successes. So 3, 4, 5, 6. How hardy do I feel like this horse is? Because I don't want to take a ton of strife if I don't have to.
That's something you wouldn't have the knowledge of.
Okay, well, I guess I'll keep going then. Oh my word. Okay. Holy cow. Okay. That is 11 successes. 11 successes, 4 strife, and 4 opportunity. I'm going to use... Huh?
So 11 successes. 2 of them are required to hit with a melee. So really it's a
9.
success plus 9 bonuses. So,
yeah, and then I'm going to use all 4 of my advantages because I'm in water stance and I have striking as water to lower the physical resistance of the horse by 4.
Ooh, okay. Okay. Let me just check to see what kind of resistance this horse has.
Dude, striking is water, baby.
Okay, yep.
Okay, so that's going to be 9 plus 4, so 13, and then I lowered its resistance by 4.
Okay, so my wife would kill me for this. Go ahead and describe how you kill the undead horse thing in front of us.
Nice. I feel like I'm running up towards this thing. I straight up Jon Snow it. Like when he's getting charged down by the horses and he just ducks under the sword. And I bring the blade up underneath its belly all the way along until the tail as I'm kind of like ducking underneath his swing. And I come out, I bring it out the back and I come back around. I chop the back like leg and it just spills open and just falls onto the ground.
And unlike a normal horse, like if you were to slide underneath a horse and do this maneuver, you would cut into its belly. It would be actually pretty quiet other than like the blood in the cut itself. Since this thing is mostly made of like extra bones and stuff, like it sounds like you're ripping through trees as you break through these excess ribs and things. And like ripping of phone books kind of sound. Like it's just unnatural. The horse collapses. And Moto Kaiketsu is thrown from the horse. How many opportunities did you have? 4?
I had 4.
Okay. What I would like you to do is your katana's deadliness is a 4, correct? Or no, 5?
I'm using it 2 hands, so it's 5.
5. Okay. We're gonna do a resistance roll for a critical against Moto from being thrown, essentially.
Okay. So how does that work?
Basically, I'm just gonna use the deadliness of your katana.
Okay, cool. Sure.
There's a solid chance this won't do anything to him because his dice pool is ridiculous, but I want to at least give you something cool for making such a good roll.
I took a lot of strife for that, though. That's going to hurt me. I know it.
Oh my god, you ridiculous bastard. Thank god this is an attack roll. That's one.
Why?
That's all he's keeping. He, with one die exploding 5 times, he succeeded on resisting it.
Okay.
But he did take some strife from it, so that's good.
Yeah, I'll take it.
He hits the floor and he skids along, and you can see that he has kind of racked himself against the pain and like pushes himself up with this unearthly strength and does kind of this half roll. And when he gets up, he's pulled the sword and he's in this kneeling position with the sword straight out.
I just turn and face him, leveling the sword at him and then bringing it up before me.
Itagawa, you find an opportunity as he's like mid-somersault to take your strike. It is your turn.
Excellent. Then I will take my strike. That's not what I was planning, but if an opportunity like that arises, I think I will strike as water also. And as he's somersaulting down, I just want to take my hammer, overhand swing, and kind of like pound him into the ground if I can. Let me do that roll, though. 1, 2, 3, 4.
It's good you guys killed the horse, because the horse has a special ability that if I had an opportunity, I could deal an extra 5 unholy damage from the horse biting you on the way.
Oh! How much? What was the thing's physical resistance, and how much hit and how many? What was its like fatigue? Its endurance.
It had 2 physical and 10 endurance, so you just straight murdered it.
Woo!
So I have 3 successes and 2 opportunities with a strife.
All
I think I can use my. Is it my opportunities?
2 successes to land the hit, so you have a success and a bonus.
Okay.
And then you have opportunities as well. How many opportunities do you have?
2.
If you want, you can use those to inflict a critical wound.
Yeah, sounds like a good plan to me. Sounds like a great plan for the critical.
Okay. So here's my pro tip for you, since we're all kind of learning the system. The deadliness of your hammer is lower than like a katana and other things. Chances are you're not going to inflict a super severe critical. So it might be more beneficial for you to look at the other things you could do with opportunities in water.
All right. Give me a second. I have it right in front of me.
If you're striking as water, you can lower his physical.
That's probably what I would do, since
Yes,
you're trying to take him down.
Yeah, I am striking as water. So I think that's what my original plan was, to do the resistance.
You're also on the verge of death, so you can also move a range band with 2.
The other thing you can do is spend an opportunity to remove 2 strife since you're in water stance.
I'm not that strifed out yet, so I will just focus on resisting or lowering his resistance.
Okay. So you're going to lower his resistance by 2. All right. All right. So he will have a resistance of 1. Give me your damage. Remember, you have a bonus inside there, so it's going to increase your damage by 1.
So I think my damage would be 9 then if it's +1.
Okay, perfect. So with a resounding crack, your hammer smashes into his armor. This is where you get to learn something unique about this armor. The crack that you would, when I say the crack, like you can feel it inside the stem of your hammer, but the sound that is emitted sounds like a taki drum being hit. It's a very unnatural sound. Like metal armor should not make that sound.
Interesting. Water stance gives me a second action that doesn't involve a roll. What are the other actions that don't involve rolls? Is it just movement?
Movement, you could take a I forget what it's called. Take a breather, basically, which lets you heal 1 fatigue or one stam or one.
That sounds like a good plan. I'll take a breather or whatever the equivalent of it's called.
If your strife is greater than half your composure, remove 1 strife. If your fatigue is greater than half your composure, remove 1 fatigue.
That is what I'll do. 1 fatigue down.
Both of those, you get to remove 1 from each, actually, which is kind of cool about that.
Very cool. All right. So, yeah, I slam him into the ground and take a deep breath and collect myself.
Perfect. Next up is Akoma. He doesn't look terrible. He seems to be pretty durable.
Ikoma is going to take a bit of a risk here, as he did earlier on in this very session. I have an ability that's part of my school. It's called Deadly Sting.
Mm-hmm.
To use that. So basically, as an attack action, I can use 1 dose of poison, which I will use my last dose of noxious poison, to make an attack with a concealed weapon. So Akoma's going to take instead of drawing the katana from his side, he'll pull out a knife as he runs up. And I get to make a TN3 martial arts air using that weapon. And if I succeed, the poison is applied, and then they suffer physical damage equal to the deadliness of the weapon plus bonus successes.
Okay.
So I'm going to do all that. So he's going to take the knife. He's actually going to put his other hand on the bottom of the hilt to provide extra leverage, and I'm going to use it I'm going to use it 2 hands to try to gut him with it.
Just to note, I don't think 2 hands does anything for you mechanically.
It adds deadliness, not damage, but deadliness. Yeah.
Oh, good.
I just looked it up 2 seconds ago, just in case.
Yeah, I was trying to pull it up because I couldn't remember if it does.
Yeah, I literally just scrolled to it 2 seconds ago, which is why I.
Easy enough.
So. And this is he's just gonna give it everything he has, knowing that any cost to kill someone like this and secure the relics. That is at this point that is his mission. Scorpion and alike. So we'll do what it takes. It's gonna be fire that I'm going into to do this. So I'm gonna use a strife for an extra success, which is 4 successes total. So the 3 needed to succeed on the check. For Deadly Sting, and then I'll use a bonus success as well to add an extra damage to it.
Yep.
And then I'm going to use the 3 opportunities. One of the opportunities specifically allowed for Deadly Sting is that if I succeed, the target suffers a critical strike with severity 2 plus 1 for each additional opportunity spent this way. So I'm going to use my 3 opportunity and pump them all into that for a 4 critical.
Okay.
And then so the actual damage from the ability itself, so it's 3 to make it succeed, so it'll be +1. So there's a knife's deadliness is normally since I'm 2-handing it, it'll be 6 plus plus the bonus success, so it'll be 7.
So
it'll be 7.
Change the deadliness unless the technique says specifically.
So the ability specifically says the target suffers physical damage equal to the deadliness of your weapon plus your bonus successes.
Okay, cool. So that's 6, 7 for that.
So 7 physical damage worth of dagger and poison, and then a 4 severity critical effect.
Okay.
And if I can, well, I don't know with the way that it's worded, would he resist that critical attack like normal?
How does it specifically say it? Because there is a way that it happens automatically.
So it says opportunities. If you succeed, the target suffers a critical strike with severity 2 plus 1 per opportunity spent this way, which I spent 2 extra, so it would be 4.
Because it suffers, no, he doesn't get a chance to resist. However, he could do a shattering parry. He's not going to because that would kind of screw up his katana. Well, actually, he could. Yeah, he's going to shattering parry on that one. The katana has durable, so he's okay with using one of its uses here.
Okay, so then he'll just take the 7 damage for the poison effect from Deadly Sting.
Okay.
You're just gonna like rush in with the dagger with 2 hands, just to, like find a point in the between like plates of the armor to like jab the small blade up in and hope the dosage will run its course. There'll be the thought in the back of his mind that perhaps that this is playing too many cards from his hand in front of the others, but hopefully in the direness of the situation, it'll go unnoticed or uncared about.
It's 3. And okay. He wheels around and he takes his open left hand and you feel the gauntlet grab onto your skull. What kind of armor are you wearing? I'm just curious if you have a helmet or not, because it might change how I narrate this.
No, it's just yeah, at best traveling clothes.
Okay.
If not,
Yeah, you
ceremony.
feel his gauntleted hand like grab in and like the fingers pull into your skull. And he takes his his right hand that's holding the katana and he just straight punches you. So this is an unarmed strike basically against you. Just because I narratively really like the idea of you stabbing him and him just wailing on you back instead of katana strike.
Rad.
It's technically not as effective, but we'll see.
More
Okay.
effective in disrespect.
Let's see here. Unarmed strikes, which is oh, that was in the errata. Okay. Sorry, I forgot that that's actually in the errata, so let me pull that real quick.
Mm-hmm.
I do not have it on here. I'll have to re-download it. I'm going to say that it is we're going to stick with what the book says for now, even though I know that that's been errated and changed, because I don't want to find the errata.
Okay.
Unarmed strike. Okay, with a punch. Cool. Yeah, I think what I'm going to do is I want him to critical you. It's not the best use of his dice pool here, but it's something. He will do 8 points of bludgeoning damage as he punches you. The critical itself is going to be a 3 is what you're going to be resisting if you want to resist it.
It's actual damage.
No, it's you basically are resisting the deadliness of his weapon, which is the punch.
No, I missed what you said the damage was. I just didn't.
It's 7 for the damage.
Okay.
And then, sorry, I forgot he's attacking in fire, so he's going to use his strike as fire. So his deadliness for this assault is going to be a 4 against you.
Alrighty. Not 2 because I'm a man and hate myself. One of my advantages is orange. Doesn't come up at all in this. So I can just roll even worse if you want me to.
Say again.
Because I hate myself and I'm missed. One of my disadvantages that has not come up yet in the game at all is organ damage. So because this is a fitness roll, if you want to invoke that and roll worse, you Did you say you are gonna use that?
Yeah, I am.
Alrighty. Quick.
What ring are
Oh,
you
still.
resisting with, by the way?
In fire ready, so I think it would make sense to stay in that. Just trying to like use what small that I have to try to resist this blow.
Okay. Actually, subtract 1 from your damage because I forgot air makes your TN 1 higher.
I switched to fire to make that attack, so I actually would not have been in air.
Correct.
All right, so that's 2 successes, 2 opportunities.
That is not enough to be able to beat the severity. You'll receive lightly wounded inside the fire ring. How lightly wounded works is TNs with fire are now increased by 1. Sorry about that. If you get lightly wounded again, it moves up to severely wounded.
Mm-hmm. Perfect.
And he will kind of begin muttering, and you can feel that there is something beyond in the edges of this room that is conscious and out there. Whatever he's doing, he's trying to pull it out. Next up is Takeo.
So he started this muttering. Oh yeah, is Tombo in the initiative?
She can be. I was under the impression you left her and Senso downstairs.
Oh, okay. I mean, like that's fine. That's okay. So yeah,
If she is, I can tell you what she's doing now, which is she's counter chanting because she sees that something bad is about to be pulled out from like the depths of the Shadowlands.
I thought she came with us because she said she only had enough jade for her and one other person.
Yeah, I did say that. So yeah, I think she could be here. Yeah, what she's gonna do is she's gonna basically try and disrupt this Maho chant that he's doing.
And I'm gonna try and disrupt this Maho chant too. I remember, so I think like through Takeo's like mind, like it kind of goes back to like those first few years alone, and then finally meeting Doji Ayako, another Ronin, and they used to exchange stories and speak of these things that they heard growing up in their respective homes. And he remembers hearing something from her, a story of a famous samurai who managed to sunder the soul of a tainted samurai, and he's going to put all of his faith into it and kind of whisper to himself, Matsuo, if you're there, and step forward, believing, remembering his vision of Ryu, and remembering pulling Matsuo back from the brink, and remembering just everything he read on the book Leadership from the Kamis and how they're said to be here with us and to guide us. And he whispers to himself, just guide my hand. And he steps forward and is going to try and strike him down. And I'm going to go all out again. Okay, here we go. I mean, mechanically, I'm not doing anything but striking, but,
Right.
Oh, baby. Okay, so 2 exploding successes and 1 normal success, but that's with a strife too. Okay, so that is 4 successes, 2 strife, and 2 opportunity. And I'm going to use the 2 opportunity to lower his physical resistance by 2. And so I'm going to just hit him and take 2 strife from it.
Okay.
Okay. So I lowered his physical resistance by 2. 2-handed and 2 to hit. So that's going to be 6 damage.
Okay. He cries out in pain, and you can see that he is kind of on his last leg. He's now at the point where any further attacks you guys do against him are going to be criticals automatically because he's hit his fatigue. There's blood everywhere. He kind of steps back and kind of falters a little bit, kind of dipping his katana just a little bit, and you can hear his wheezing breath. Next up is Itagawa.
All right. I got a new ability and I really wanted to use it, but I don't know if it's like appropriate to use it since he seems like he's almost out. I am just going to
do it, man. YOLO. You only live once.
No, it's super defensive. That's the thing. It's not offensive. I'm just gonna straight up attack him if I think that like the longer I let him go on, the more dangerous this is. So I'm going to charge in and try to finish him, doing a straight up melee attack with my hammer, and I will strike do an earth stance.
Okay.
Or actually, yeah, let's just do an earth stance. And let's roll it and see what happens here. 2, 3. So that is actually a pretty decent roll. 3 success and 2 opportunity. So I needed 2 to succeed. So that's 1 success, you said, right?
Yeah.
And then just checking the opportunities right now for Earth. Come here, you. Where is it? Combat, Earth. 2, do not apply 1 to your disadvantages until the end of your next turn. Reduce the severity of the next critical strike. Let's just do that. If he critical strikes me, it'll suffer before your next turn. I'll reduce the severity. And then just remove 1 strife if I can with the other opportunity.
Okay.
All right. And damage still I think would be 9. Shouldn't change, right? If I got the same amount of successes as last time.
So he needs to make a resist. All right, so he is able to bring it down to a 4. He becomes lightly wounded in the earth ring. Your hit sinks into his flesh, and you can hear the sharp ping, or the sharp breaking sound, I should say, of bone. Next up is going to be Coma.
Almost like been like smashed in the face by this unarmed attack and like send him reeling, and he'll just let the knife like in his hands, strikes him, and use that up to pull katana. And he'll take both hands, like sweeping around, switching into this fluid air movement away from the fire that he had been in, and try to just bring the katana to strike this man dead. I'm going to give him an attack. And that will be 4 successes and opportunities. So 2 of the successes to hitting him.
Okay.
And then it's a katana, which is 4 damage. So plus 2 would be 6 damage. And then, so since it's an automatic critical strike against him, because normally you could use 2 opportunity to make it a crit and then use bonus ones to, I think, deadliness.
Right.
To use all 4 of them to up the deadliness, or do I still have to use 2 to like engage crit mode? How would that work mechanically?
2 of
I have
them
4
count
opportunities.
engaging the crit, and then anything beyond that are basically adding to it.
Okay, but even though I would crit no matter what anyways, I still have to use 2 to use the other 2 to add.
I'm sorry. Yes, in this situation, no, you can just sink all of them into the deadliness, increasing the deadliness.
Yeah, I'll put all 4 opportunities then into deadliness. So I'm using katana 2 hands, so that's already at 7, and then 4 opportunity would put it to 11 deadliness.
Okay, let's see if I can manage to survive
And then,
this.
if I can I invoke his demon wound, know where to strike, and cut that open to make him reroll
Yeah,
2?
I'll let that happen because I mean, you use some stuff to make that happen. So,
Yeah, maybe there was a tell when he was using that unholy fire attack earlier that I spotted when I saw it. That I kind of something about it twinged weird, and I know to try to like cut him in that same spot, knowing that it already has a toll on him, and that's where I bring the katana in.
yeah, the blow itself was like underneath his arm. Even after reducing this, you are able to cause a maiming blow, which is basically you've gravely hurt them and strike them. They may never fully recover. He's going to suffer the bleeding condition, which means that he's on his way to death. Good news. It's going to leave one of the following scars. Since he used earth, he's either going to have damaged heart or damaged organ. I think heart is the most appropriate. I think when you brought in the katana, you like brought it into his ribs, and you probably nicked like a major artery that's going in there.
Yeah.
Okay. And it is his turn. Oh boy, he cannot keep strife, or else he'll pretty much kill himself. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He is going to use fire. No, sorry, he's going to use water because he's trying to make or break himself on this one. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, perfect. He takes some of his own blood, and the way he manipulates it, it's almost like he's pulling on a string. There's this wound that's in his chest, and he takes his left hand that's open, and he kind of holds it a little far away from him, and then he grabs it and pulls on it like it's a noodle being stretched, and it floats in the air into this wild arc, and you can see these little orbital blobs of blood, and the blood itself starts burning away black as it's being sacrificed. As it kind of makes this arc shape, he finally closes his hand, and you can see the blood has crystallized into a blood katana. He takes the katana and wisdom on the other hand, and he is going to strike out at it's going to be Akoma again. Akoma's the closest person to him. He takes both swords, and he immediately slashes in like he's going to try and decapitate you, kind of scissor style almost. It will be let's see. Since you guys have katanas, what is a katana's one-handed deadliness, please?
5.
5? Okay.
5.
So it will be a deadliness of 5 against you.
Okay, so I'm just straight making a roll. There's no damage or anything accompanying it.
There's regular katana damage, which I think is 4.
Okay, because it'll put me.
I'm gonna do the
past
other
my-
weapon here in a second because he's attacking with 2 at the moment.
Okay, so the 4 damage will put me at 11 fatigue, which is over. I don't know if that changes how deadliness roll, or if that only affects next time.
Oh wait, I'm sorry. He can't attack with 2 because that's a special thing, and I don't want to take that away from the dragon. So he's just attacking you with blood katana. And I think the way he's going to do it is he's an asshole about it. He's just going to drive that shit right in your chest.
Oh God, I think I'm going to shattering parry if I can, because just the damage will already put me over my fatigue, which is scary. And I'd rather lose my katana than my life.
Okay. Yeah, you pull your katana, and you have a void point still, correct?
No, I
Then you
don't.
cannot shattering parry.
Great. Okay, never mind. I don't do that.
He drives the blood katana into you, And like I said, it is a severity of 5, which would be a debilitating gash. So, you know, it's not too bad, I guess. That's going to be 4 points of damage, so it will put you at your fatigue cap, which we've already established.
Yes. Okay. All right, so that's only going to be, and I don't know if, because I am in air stance now, I don't know if that would affect. That would still put me over my fatigue cap anyway, so I don't think it matters. That wouldn't affect.
Yeah, he had 3 successes. I was counting you on you being in air stance.
Okay, so that's 2 successes and 2 strife. So I will not negate it, but I will at least reduce it.
Okay, perfect. So he drives in this blood katana, and you reduced it down to what?
I got 2 successes, so I think that would put it to 3
Okay, so
overall.
took it to 3. So that is a flesh wound. Was your air the one that was lightly wounded before? I think it was.
It was fire. I switched to air on my next turn. Yeah.
So air is now lightly wounded.
Okay.
And you are suffering the bleeding condition. The blood that comes out of your chest starts to kind of float up like orbs, kind of the same way it did before he crystallized it into the katana that's in front of him. And he, like an animal, just reaches over, and like his mempo falls away. His jaw is like descended like a snake, and you can see the bones exposed, and like there's just a little bit of sinew keeping this thing together. And he like bites it like it's a damn apple out of the air, and he consumes your blood. He's healing himself with your wounds.
Is he still at the point where if we hit him, he gets a critical?
Not anymore.
How much did fatigue did that remove?
It's make or break move. This is like his last ace in the hole right here.
Okay. Well, I'm switching to fire stance.
Oh no, he's still bleeding. So every bit of strife that he gets, he's going to get a critical, which I'm about to resolve right now because he did get some strife from this.
Oh, every bit of strife he gets, Oh.
Yeah, and he doesn't get to resist those because he's in the bleeding condition.
What's the one that you can use to apply strife? What's the stance?
Basically, how it works is in the bleeding condition, if you get strife, you get a point of fatigue. He healed 3, but the healing is going to be the absolute last thing that happens in his turn, so he's still going to get a critical against himself for the strife that he's taking as part of this process. He is also taking strife from forming the blade from his own blood. So that is, let's see, 3 strife plus another 3 from forming it from his own blood. You see like the joints in his armor just like anime style spray out with blood because, you know, he's a weird monster, so that's totally acceptable. And he is like his right arm that controls wisdom like slouches at his side. He's actually going to be severely wounded in the fire ring, which makes him now severely wounded, fire, lightly wounded, in earth, and bleeding.
Okay.
It will not take him long. Like one good strike against him, and he is done at this point. That was his absolute last-ditch effort. He did heal himself, so you guys will have to bring him to fatigue or let him bleed to death.
I'm totally switching to fire so that my strives turn into successes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yes. Okay. I kid you not. I need to show you guys what I rolled. That is 3 exploding successes with 3 strife on them. And so I'm going to explode all 3. And that is another success and 2.
I misread this. Hold on. I misread how bleeding works. The critical strike that he gets for suffering strife symbols is equal to his current fatigue. There is absolutely no way this monster is going to actually succeed at this because his fatigue is at like 25 right now. But let's find out if he does, because, you know, it's a game. Oh yeah, there's absolutely no way. He is dead. Like he explodes with the blood and he falls over. So I don't think he gets a chance to even like bite the orbital of blood. Like his mask comes down, he reaches over to get it, and like he falls over, and you can hear this last wheeze of like life leave him. The only thing that's left in the room that's making a sound is Tombo, who's chanting kind of a cleansing ritual over the area. This is what she was doing to try and stop whatever it was that he was trying to bring in here. The two skeletal warriors, now that he's dead, they don't take much to dispatch. Honestly, it's a few minutes of you killing these things off. In relative terms, skeletons and L5R are actually scary things, but you guys are badasses, so I don't want to spend time on that. Plus, we're a little bit past what I expected. You were able to recover the armor and the sword. The day is won. So let's talk epilogues here. Moto Kaiketsu had the armor of the adept warrior and the katana known as wisdom. Going through his gear and things like that, one of your servants brings forward a letter. It seems to be discussing the mask itself, which you know that Lady Altanasari has sent some of her riders to go fetch. Apparently, the mask itself is supposed to be given to, it was supposed to have been given to Moto Kaiketsu by another Moto. This name you don't recognize, but I think in our epilogue, our Akoma will find out his name. I'm on the wrong page. Moto Sume is his name. Is there anything that you want to kind of resolve about your characters, the stories that are outlying? I will say that Moto Sume, you are able to find out once checking historical records if Jeff wants to share it. He is the leader of the Dark Moto. So the Dark Moto have not been entirely vanquished. And Moto Kaiketsu was not actually even like a major player in the Dark Moto faction.
Interesting.
But they seem to be distributing knowledge about the armor set to the unicorn for whatever their reasoning is.
Does anyone have anything they want to resolve?
I think for me, after the war and all the things are tidied up and it's a time of peace, there would be a scene of, and we don't have to play it out because I imagine it could like take a little bit, but it'd be of me approaching Takeo as a daimyo and asking politely and saying that it's been an honor to serve him and watch him rise to be the leader that he is now. But I've always been a Yojimbo at heart, not a counselor of war, and someone needs my protection now, and he'd know who I was talking about, obviously.
Takeo would smile. Yeah, protection.
Upon being released from your service, your father has approached the daimyo of the Shiba clan and has also acquired the last name Shiba for you. Or at least the right to take the name Shiba. Do you think your character, now that he's been permitted to take his father's name, would actually go back and do it after everything?
Yeah, I imagine the last kind of scene that we would see is me and Tombo kind of like traveling the countryside towards Phoenix territory and like asking if my father would be okay with me taking the name and marrying this girl, or at least being her Yojimbo.
Mm-hmm. For Jeff, this is kind of a cliffhanger. You receive a letter that says there is no need to form Akodo Dono, but we have found out the location of the tea set known as Compassion. Agents will be dispatched. When the item is recovered, it will be turned over to Akodo Dono. 'Dono. 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 ' I think that's the major thing that happens. Is there anything you want to resolve outside of that?
Oh God. Don't think so. I think that mostly because that was going to be the question that was asked that I would ask that would lead in is like knowing that we've recovered 2 of the items, would they still want me to continue serving Akodo Dono, or if they'd have other uses? But if they would want me to remain, I think we just like see this scene of like him with the letter, and he's like bandages running across his chest that have like anti-taint charm or whatever from the blood katana that's through or whatever. And he's recovering, but he seems like he'll survive. Though his like damaged organs now even faring probably worse, I imagine, after such a terrible blow was dealt to him. We just see him kind of like nod and then turn to the fire that's burning nearby and just throw the letter into it. So that it can't be traced and that the information can't get out unless it comes from his mouth. And then he'll just return to his duties as Akoma Hideki. None of them ever finding out his real name or knowing where his heritage comes from. At least not for now. His identity will remain a secret, and he'll just return as if nothing had happened and no one was the wiser.
Perfect. I think that's where we're gonna kind of leave things. As mentioned inside the story, there are 2 outstanding hooks, which will be the later seasons of this adventure. Plus, there's the last item, which I haven't revealed, that's part of the set, and then the final take them to Mountain Doom kind of adventure and destroy them all.
I've got one thing to close, if it's okay.
Yeah.
I want to do a quick scene, just a brief one with Jeff. You would see Takeo is sitting next to a grave. He's actually had space cleared out in the courtyard beneath the sakura tree where his brother sat all those days, where they played when they were children. And there's a grave.
Well, bodies are burnt. Remember that. If you put a tainted body underneath this tree, you're going to open up a whole can of worms.
Okay, fine. Ash, then. There's a burial plot where just the can of ash has been placed.
Yeah, you'd end up with like the L5R version of a Gothias tree in the middle of your courtyard.
That'd be real bad.
It's a memorial grave, a symbolic grave.
Yeah, it's a memorial grave. And he'd be sitting there at the bench that Matsuo sat at, and he would be holding the memorial in his hand that he gave to him. And he would kind of just slowly approach and place it kind of over this urn, kind of wrapped around it, wrapped around the top of it, that is, before turning to the sound of approaching footsteps. As he turns and looks at Akoma Hideki. I rolled when he used the dagger with poison. Just what I felt like I don't know what you would have wanted me to roll, but I used water for survey with sentiment, just to kind of like overcome my own doubts about the thing, I guess, at the same time, and like kind of like analyze it in my head. But I would turn and I would look at him and I would say, Akoma-san, thank you for coming to speak with me on such short notice.
Of course, Akodo Dono.
I would turn and look back at the urn. I replay that moment over and over in my head. I see Kaiketsu, who chose what he became. And I see my brother, who was forced into the role he played. Akoma-san, I know what happened. I saw it. And though you might think me foolish, though you might perhaps doubt what I believe in, I still believe that You are my friend. And I'm going to choose to ignore what I saw. Whatever your reasonings are, or whoever you are, I know that you were there, which means more to me than who you are or where you place worth. Duty is as honorable as honor can be. In fact, sometimes it is more so. And I would just stand there silently waiting for his response.
I hope you'll forgive me if I speak plainly. Given your station to mine, of course, you know I mean no disrespect. But you are a young daimyo. You are still learning your place. We have always been here, and we will always be here. We exist and we do not exist. The lion's shadow is forever at your hand and forever out of reach. Simply all there is to it.
I hope, Ikoma-san, that given this transparency, which we're striving for now, that I can continue to trust on you in the future.
The lion's shadow may operate with different code, different methods, different intentions, but duty and service are still all the same. And to the lords, we are eternally in service and eternally at their disposal. If you give me command, I will follow it. That's all there is to it. Duty and friendship is greater than the methods used to ensure their survival.
And I would just kind of nod before turning back to the grave. I look forward to your continued aid in the future then. And I think you would get the sense that Takeo doesn't fully, not necessarily not trust you, because he does trust you because you were there, like he said. But he doesn't believe that you were in the lion's shadow.
Yeah, there'd be this like ever so small wry smile from Akoma, but he would hide it, being in the presence of the Lord, and not having authority to be so plain. He would just say, I will ever be here recording the history of your clan, of your glory, of your accomplishments. However I see them, however they're dictated. And just give a bow.
Frankly, if you keep this up, Akoma-san, you'll be the one making history. Which is, there's a couple meanings there that I'm trying to get across. But yeah, he would kind of just nod and continue on his little path kind of around the garden.
If I may offer one word as a young daimyo, advice, consultation.
Of course.
The lion's shadow, the shinobi of all sorts, they are always the ones making history. But they will never be mentioned in it. Remember that. You will need them.
And Takeo would turn and look at you and give a very, very open smile and say, it's one of the many reasons why I keep you around, my friend. And turn around and keep walking away. And that's it. That's all I wanted to do.
Perfect. Jeff, I would like you to give me a TN2 fitness as well.
Yep, I was just getting to that.
Affliction. Since your character will be a part of the story, even if you don't continue playing him in the future, your character becoming afflicted and tainted possibly is an important thing I should know going out of this game.
Okay, and that's despite the fact that I had the jade because the blood katana?
Yeah, essentially the blood katana would have destroyed the jade when you got struck with it. It protected you from the katana, which was actually the worst one because that would have instantly afflicted you instead of having getting a chance to resist.
And am I still taking into account the ring damage while I make this?
Yes, please.
Okay, so that just increases the number for that roll by 1. The TN.
So that'll be a TN3.
Okay. I will use air because even with the, it's still the best one. And fitness. Okay. Okay, that's 2 successes, 3 opportunity, 2 strife.
You said 2 successes?
Yes.
Okay. So this character will be afflicted. I'll notate that for myself. The afflicted condition I'll probably resolve on my own. That is everything for this game, guys. Thank you so much for attending, like having fun with it on this stuff. This was a lot of fun. I was actually really glad that we decided to do something a little bit longer for more of a playtest of L5R. But we talked about it offline. I wasn't super impressed with mass combat, but I really liked how the rest of the game went, so I'm totally fine with that.
Yeah, that's exactly my thoughts. Is like all of it's great except mass combat was pretty underwhelming.
Yeah, I'm gonna reread it, and maybe I'm just not understanding it correctly or something. But like, I can see why they did it. It's to like do the momentum thing and make mass combat be a little bit more fluid. But it felt like it was kind of missing the spirit of what mass combat is. I still like be a better game masters, or be a better battle master, I should say, as what it was as a tool for mass combat. I used that in my 4th edition L5R game.
It felt very gamey, which I don't mind mechanics, but it felt gamey at the expense of the atmosphere of it all. Like it felt very synthetic.
Yeah, which was kind of my issue with it. All right, guys, thanks for tuning in. We're past our time. I'm going to go ahead and end the broadcast here. For everybody who's watching at home, thank you for joining us through the whole thing, and I'll see you at the gaming table.